piece of puzzles at the same time as my adventure.
And today we're going to do Jank Heroes Funnifyic episode 25. Give me one moment to get the live chat up. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So, can you give us a recap of what happened last time?
I have a snowman on me in the Meiji era.
You have a snowman on you in the Meiji era?
Yes.
Interesting. As you walk around, you notice that there
Well, first I shake off my snowman.
First you shake off your snowman?
Yeah, because I don't want to be seen with a snowman on me.
Okay. Can you recap us on why a snowman was on you?
Because I was in the snow.
Because you were in the snow?
And I just appeared in a snowman for some reason.
Interesting.
Yes, you did this.
Nerdtanker said, I am determined to solve the pizza thing.
You already solved it. Last time you were dealing with the fact that you broke your soul jar.
Well, welcome back, Nerdtanker. Good to have you. So, as you arrive in the Meiji era, you notice a suit of samurai armor just in the middle of the street.
Walk around it.
You walk around the armor. As you walk around it, you notice a turtle in front of you.
Walk around it.
You walk around the turtle. The turtle approaches the samurai armor behind you. You hear a bunch of lightning, and then you notice the turtle fly away in the samurai armor.
Seek a slate.
Nerdtanker said, but I never got to the demon child. So you Sheikah slate, and you freeze the...
Start shooting it with the gun blade.
You start shooting it with the gun blade. How many bullets are in the gun blade?
You didn't specify, so it's theoretically infinite.
But how many are it?
It's theoretically infinite.
Theoretically infinite?
Theoretically infinite, because normally gun blades don't come with ammo costs.
So, you freeze it. You notice when you freeze it with the Sheikah slate that the turtle and the samurai armor is like flying away.
But it's in the air, frozen. So
Yeah.
we start shooting it.
So you start shooting it. Okay.
Yeah.
You're shooting it as it's frozen with the Sheikah slate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
About a couple of volleys and it would end, and we see what the effects of like 50 bullets in it does.
Okay. You notice that all of the bullets are ricocheting. Some of them may or may not be flying towards you.
Jet, they couldn't be ricocheting because the impact would be, like, essentially they strike the solid object and then it would essentially be hitting the object.
But I mean, when it hits the object, do the bullets then freeze, or do the bullets not freeze?
They don't.
They don't? Then while it was frozen, the bullets would have been ricocheting.
Jet,
So you gotta roll that check to see if any of those bullets fly back at you.
you can hit people on Breath of the Wild with arrows and they don't ricochet.
But what are the people wearing? Are they wearing things that arrows ricochet off of?
You can do it against giant metal objects.
This metal object is... you don't even know if it's made of it. It causes bullets to ricochet off of it.
Jet.
Where's that check? How do you know if any bullets are coming?
Okay, let's do this then. I would have noticed that the first bolt.
Would you have, if you turn around gun-ho with your gun blade and just fire off rounds into it? I don't think you
maybe
would
not
have
the
turned
first
around.
bullet, but like
the fifth or like ninth bullet,
not like
maybe?
50.
I mean, how fast does the gun blade shoot out? I imagine if I asked you a moment ago that this would be like a machine gun. I feel like if I ask you now,
Well, here's the
it's
funny
a
thing.
slow musket.
It's not a Final Fantasy gunblade. It's a Jank Heroes gunblade.
Well, what'd you pull it from? Game Portal.
No. From a lady.
Oh shit! You did take the gun blade from a lady. How
It's
fast
your
does it shoot?
gunblade, Jet.
I remember this. Nerdtanker said, I want to find a way to the demon.
But your soul jar just got broken, friend.
Nerdtanker
You got
said,
your own problems to deal with.
I'm going to go back up to the soul containers and see how many are full
What
compared
about your
to how many are
broken
empty.
one?
Roll 2d20. one will represent how many empty jars there are, one will represent how many full jars there are. Hello.
How does your gun blade work, Jet?
How does my gun blade work? It's like... I actually would prefer gun blades to maybe just do, like, small burst. Maybe it shoots, like, 15 bullets, like, at a time.
That's a lot of bursts. That's a lot of bullets, Jet.
But it's quickly. It's, like, in rapid succession.
That's
It's not, like... Pss, pss, pss. It's like... Da-da-da-da.
That's what I mean. That's a lot of bullets.
It's just a quick burst.
That's a lot of bullets.
It's dodgeable.
I shouldn't have to dodge.
Well, I mean, it's being ricocheted off the armor.
Like, the impact of it is what's getting saved onto the armor.
Kirby said pineapples, and then he said Meta Knight is here. Then Nerdtanker said 20 good, 10 bad. The dice rolls just represent how many are full jars and how many are empty jars. Did you want them to be full, or did you want them to be empty? I don't know what the good, bad translates into. Kirby says Meta Knight is here. You hear it in your mind.
How does a sword work if it were to have struck it?
You don't know?
Because I've struck stuff with it, and because it doesn't do the action until after the time is resumed.
Well, I was going to do it where they ricocheted after, and you're like, that's not how it would work. And I was like, oh, okay. Then it would have to ricochet before.
But Jed, they shouldn't have to be ricocheting is what I'm saying. Like, the full force of the impact goes into the armor, so it can't ricochet because it's not doing an equal reaction out.
Why not?
Because all the energy is being put into stopped time. So essentially the bullets would fall, but the energy from the impact of the bullets stays. Hence why stasis allows you to launch things.
I feel like stasis is normally used in situations where you don't have to worry about bounce, because it's just not in the game. You know what I mean? But you've introduced it to, like, the real world, where, like, I think bounce would actually be an issue. Keep in mind that when you swing a club at something that's been frozen by a Sheikah Slate in Breath of the Wild, your club doesn't just stop in midair and fall, because your force goes in, but it doesn't, like, drain all the kinetic energy from it and make it inert.
Meanwhile, with a bow, though, it just stops in place, essentially. Like, it would more or less fall or get absorbed into it.
But what would happen if it ricochets?
But it can't.
But why can't it?
Because all the energy is being put into the stasis, essentially.
But it seems like it isn't, though.
But it is.
It feels inconsistent.
It's not inconsistent. There's nothing inconsistent about it.
Because it sounds like projectiles just follow different rules. Let's see. Kirby said, let me get my character sheet up. Nerdtanker said, oh, let's just say there are 10 empty. He says, I want to get the demon child. So I break all the full soul jars.
Are we still going to ignore the fact that your soul jar is broken? And that there are consequences probably for soul jars being broken?
I break all... Nerdtaker, I don't know why I didn't think you were going to do that. That's going to be interesting. I'm still debating with Matt on how, like, the stasis thing works. So, why is it that when you swing, like, a club at something that's in stasis, the club doesn't lose all its, like...
Because you're still pushing into the club during that swing. Like, it's an active swing, whereas shooting something, once you shoot it, it has that set amount of energy.
Like, to me, that doesn't make much sense. I get the idea that you're continually applying force with your thing,
so
but that still seems stupid and doesn't make sense. You know, like, if stasis actually takes all of the energy out of the thing, then you should hit it really slow. Like, you should make initial impact, and then you should be like, and you should have to fight it.
But it's not.
Like, it should be like really hard.
But you're not constantly impacting it at that point.
Like, as soon as you impact it once, it should drain all the energy. Like, based on what we've talked, like what you've said.
But
it should just get fucked.
if I swing it really slow, then it's going to have very little energy on that impact.
No, I'm saying you can swing it as fast as you want initially, but based on what you're saying is when it hits, it loses all of it.
Right, and so I have to swing
and
again.
then it should drag. No, I mean, like, as soon as it makes contact, that thing should not be a moving object anymore. And you would have to be, like, pulling it. Like, from just... Like, it sounds like it would also just freeze.
No.
That's how, like, kinetic energy works.
Because it only freezes one individual object.
So then the bullets won't just lose all their energy and drop.
Yeah. Under the circumstances you're saying, then the bullets would freeze as well.
No, I'm basing your freeze logic on how the, like, I'm saying they shouldn't, and that the bullet should be active, but whatever's frozen is still frozen. Or the bullets can, like... Sorry about that, we had some stream lag. Kirby asked if anyone had taken any damage. Nerdtanker said...
But I'm still doing the impact of the weapon.
I feel like you just don't see the effects of what happened until after stasis. It's not that you're not slicing through things when something's in stasis. It's just how are you going to see the effects if the thing doesn't, like, shift?
Because it's still happening in real time, Jed. It's just they're stopped.
But
and
blood's not going to just flush out because the blood stopped. Like, you're not going to see... It's not going to move and separate because the, like, body stopped. Like, that's what I'm saying.
But Jed, it never goes in.
I mean, it doesn't make them indestructible either.
No, it doesn't. But what I'm saying is that they're indestructible up to the point that time resumes.
I'm saying you're still slicing. It just does the whole, like, when Trunks comes up in Dragon Ball Z and he goes, and then he, like, closes his thing, and then you see it. But because you have him in stasis, you can do shit like that.
That's not the same thing.
It's essentially how it's been treated so far.
Because he's just moving really quickly.
Yeah. In this, you're making them move hella slowly to the point of being stopped. But it's like the same premise.
But it's not.
But it is, though.
Because if they're completely stopped,
Mm-hmm.
then they're not going to feel they're not going to have anything applied to them until after they resume time.
Well, it's more like it's all getting applied to them, but you can't see the effects of it until time resumes.
But it's not me seeing the effects of it. It's them getting the effects of it once their time resumes. Everything's still happening in real time.
I think it's you seeing the effects of it. It's like a difference of understanding how, like, the perception works. So, like, if you don't see them being affected, you could rationalize that they're not being affected, but that doesn't mean that's actually what's happening. You just don't see the effect until after they're allowed to show you the effect by being able to move.
Okay, next thing, with blood. Blood would still get on the blade even if it's not flowing.
That sounds about right,
but it hasn't.
But you could argue that it doesn't.
But Jed, if
you could argue that it's just
if I chopped through this arm and blood did not flow at all, I would still have the initial blood for the blood that was in my arm at that point.
You could just argue that, like, nothing will move except your blade, like, through the arm until after stasis is gone, and then you see all the blood burst.
But its blood still paints something. Like, it doesn't not get on stuff.
Well, if the blood's not moving, how can it move onto the blade?
But it's not moving onto the blade is touching the blood.
But if the blade is touching blood that can't move, then the blade moves and the blood stays. You know what I mean? Like, if the object's immovable and you try to push it, you just won't push it. But it's not that the blade stops either. It's just that blood is, like, flowing around the blade at that point by not flowing.
That's not how that would work.
The blade essentially is just ignoring the blood at that point.
It couldn't, though.
Well, it's more like blood is a liquid. So the sword, like, passes through the liquid that can't move. Like, if it was a solid thing that the blade couldn't cut through, then it doesn't make sense. Let's see. So then, Nerdtanker said true. Then Kirby said in Dead Space, it slows time down. It also, time stops in Breath of the Wild. Nerdtanker said, come on, I want to find that demon child, I'm determined. I feel like the bullets would just ricochet off the thing.
I don't see how they would ricochet yet, because it's putting their impact into the object itself.
But the properties of the object don't go away, though.
But the properties of the object are its energy, its impact.
Okay, check this out. If I had a shield, and its properties were bullets ricochet off of it, if I paused time on the shield as I threw it in the air, that doesn't make it not ricochet bullets anymore. So if I shoot bullets at it, shouldn't the bullet still ricochet, even if the shield doesn't move? The shield's not moving because it stopped in time. but the shield's properties of deflecting bullets don't go away.
But the properties of stasis aren't like that. It's essentially overriding the properties of the object so that it can put all that pressure on at once.
I'm not saying the pressure wouldn't still build, but the object itself still deflects things.
But it's essentially ignoring the properties of that shield in that instance. Like, because at that point, it wouldn't matter whether I'm hitting it with the sword or the bullet, it would be the same effect, even if it's a shield that specifically deflects bullets, because its effects are overridden by the fact of stasis, which applies all the force at once.
If you were on, like, a block of slippery ice, and you froze it in stasis, and then you walked on it, would you slip on the ice?
No.
Why? I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. How does freezing the ice thing in time make it not slippery? If you froze a flame in time with the stasis thing, and you put your hand in it, like, would it burn you? Like, it's the same kind of thing. Like, it's just like an inherent property of the thing does things. And freezing it in time will stop it from moving, I agree.
Argument for fire, it's energy, so you can't freeze it.
Are you saying that your stasis thing just won't work on energy?
Right.
That's weird. I don't know. Nerd Tanker said, I broke my soul jar plus like 20 more, then killed 20 guards. So come on, he's like, I should be on Verizon's wanted list. Kirby said, it would still reflect. It's just that the shield would move very slowly.
But it's completely stopped. It's not that the shield gets to move, it's that it's stopped completely.
So then the shield, like, I'm still fine with it, like, absorbing, like, energy from it, and that energy builds up the more you shoot bullets at it. But I still feel like those bullets should ricochet off. I feel like it would only get as much energy as it could from the initial impact. It's not that it gets all of the energy. I feel like that's one thing that I, like, heavily disagree with the concept of, like, stasis and hitting things. It can get as much energy as it could from the hit. Like, if you punch someone in the gut, your fist isn't gonna bounce off the gut unless it's like the Blob or something, like a character who straight up has a power where if you hit him it bounces off. So you'd be able to deliver as much energy as you want into that punch because it's not gonna go anywhere. But if it's something where, like, your hit would slide or bounce off, you would only be able to supply as much as, like, the initial kind of thing, but not even like the full, because it'll bounce. It still has that, like, property that's not gonna go away. You know what I mean? So you'll still get a weird ragdoll thing when it, like, absorbs all the energy from the bullets. But the bullets are still gonna fly around because they're being ricocheted off of the armor.
I just don't think they should be ricocheted is the thing. I think once they make the impact, they would just essentially lose their energy and drop.
And I fundamentally disagree with that. I explained. I feel like only in situations where all the energy could be delivered would that be the case. But not all the energy would be delivered, because the properties of the armor prevent it from just taking all the energy from the bullets. It's deflecting the bullets off of it.
Okay, well, so let's go with this. So, essentially, in order for the bullet to be reflected by anything, it would have to have an equal force pushing back on it in order to ricochet, correct?
An equal force pushing back on it?
So that it could ricochet, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to ricochet.
I feel like it shouldn't be equal for ricochet. That doesn't sound right. If equal forces met each other, I see no reason for them to bounce. Like, that doesn't make sense.
But what I mean, Jed, is that the impact that the force that the bullet has on the shield would essentially bounce the bullet back. So, like, if I did it with this much force, it's going to bounce back with this much force.
Ricochet amounts for bullets fundamentally are less than the amount that, like, it was firing before. The bullet will not go as fast as it was shot because it's still losing energy the whole time.
That's because of air
It's not a constant.
But it's still but that's more so because of air resistance and whatnot.
And also hitting an object. When a bullet ricochets off an object, that object still absorbs some of the energy, but not all of the energy. And the bullet would then, like, bounce back. Constantly, throughout the entire exchange, losing energy. Losing the most when it makes contact with the object that it ricochets off of. Because air resistance isn't going to do nearly as much as, like, hitting a wall or hitting, like, the metal armor. Kirby says, then it just wouldn't move until the stasis effect ends, referring to the armor. He says in Dead Space, stasis slows down time by like 90%. And then he said time stop doesn't also stop physics, it just slows stop time. And Nerdtanker said, Verizon, I will dethrone you! Yeah, like, physics still apply. Like, I'd have to agree with Kirby on that. Like, the object itself being slowed down, I'm fine with all those things. But I feel like I disagree solidly on the bullets. The bullets, I feel like, would still ricochet.
This is very dumb.
Okay, so you're doing a check
because I don't have a choice, Chad.
So what's your good die versus your bad die?
Good die's always blue.
Good die's always blue?
I pass.
So 13 to... Oh, 1. Yeah, you pass the shit out of that. None of the bullets fly towards you as they ricochet off of the armor. Is it still in stasis or is stasis?
It probably passed by now.
It passed? Okay. You see the armor like jagged through the air a bit before it continues off.
It had no impact on the guy inside the armor?
It was a turtle inside the armor.
The turtle inside the armor?
It's hard to tell. It's surrounded by like man-shaped armor. And it was like a normal turtle.
So why do you do this to me?
What?
I'm not gonna just put on a suit of armor. I'm not gonna just put on a top hat.
Turtle was leaving.
I can't do anything about that, Joe.
I don't know. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what happens. So the turtle's flying off in the pseudo armor. You're still in the Meiji era area.
There isn't one thing I can do. I teleport chase it. You
teleport chase it?
Yes.
What is your thing that lets you teleport again?
Meta Knight's Cape.
Meta Knight's Cape? So you're gonna do that. Dun, dun, dun. So where do you teleport?
Essentially to a viable piece of land in the direction that it's going.
A viable piece of... Where's that?
A viable land that I can see it, that's in the same direction as him.
That you can see? In that direction, you see, like, Meiji-era buildings in your way?
I go to the roof of that.
Okay, you're on the roof of a Meiji-era building. The armor suit's, like, flying overhead, diagonal up direction away from where you're
Follow
at.
that to the viable piece of land.
The next viable piece of land you see looks like a mountain.
Teleport to the top of the mountain.
You teleport to the top of the mountain. As you look down, you notice there are a set of charges, each with a timer on them. The timer's clocking down 3,
Teleport
2...
to the base of the mountain in the same direction as the turtle in the armor.
Okay. You teleport to the base of the mountain. 1. The mountain's like blowing up. A big avalanche is now about to sweep the area.
Oh, I'm at the bottom of the mountain, and mountains are pretty high, so it's
rocks.
Right, it's going to take a bit for that to...
That's assuming there are only charges at the top, my friend.
Okay.
It's coming.
Okay.
You can see it.
Where's...
It's fast.
Okay.
All directions.
Quickly
from the mountain.
Quickly see where the turtle and armor are.
It's becoming like a smaller thing. Seems like its speed's increasing. It's harder to see. Still going in that general direction.
Go in that general direction. Teleport.
Where do you
piece
go?
of land.
Viable piece of land. In the distance, you see a sign to a town, and you can see hazily, like, the buildings. This area seems rather hot.
Turtle.
Turtle?
Turtle. Where is he?
Oh, you, like, appear at the sign, please? Yeah. Or just the hazy distance? I still don't know where you went.
So long as I'm within sight of him in a viable piece of land in his direction.
Well, he's kind of, like, gone too far.
What do you mean he's gone too far?
You're eyeballing for the, like, as long as I'll be inside of him. And as long as he continues to increase his speed, like, it's hard to, like, precisely do any of these things.
I'm going essentially as far as I can in his general direction.
But blindly? That just doesn't seem safe.
Well,
Like, you can choose to do that.
As far as I can
if you want.
see going in his direction.
Then you would be able to make it to, like, the hazy town area, which would no longer be hazy. You'd just be, like, at the front of the town. It kind of has, like, a Old West feel. Guy is, like, gone. He just continually was going faster. Let's see. Kirby said, when does Dimensional Cape ever teleport multiple people at once? It's just him. Right now. Let's see. Kirby said, but Meta Knight's cape can't teleport multiple people to my knowledge. It's just him. Let's see. Nerd Tanker said, Kirby, smash logic. Then Nerd Tanker said, 7 people is max. So Nerd Tanker, in your scenario, you broke all these soul jars. You see the souls seem to fly through the ceiling. You're just in a room with a bunch of broken glass and labels on the ground. Be careful. If you fail any checks walking in this room, you'll step on some glass and take some damage.
He's presumably wearing shoes, so that shouldn't be a problem. Do you wear shoes in your team?
Are your shoes immune to the glass if you are wearing shoes?
Check. Most shoes are immune to glass.
To this glass? Can you trust hell glass, Nerd Tanker? Back to you're at the front of this Old West style town.
Explore the town.
Explore the town? As you walk in, you meet a dog. It's like a Dalmatian. Has a little bandana around its neck.
Read its mind.
And a little hat. The dog's like, hello, and welcome to our town. It's like you read the mind of what it's getting ready to say, and now you hear as an echo, hello, welcome to our town. Like, but it's like off sync because the mind is slightly faster. It's like, we have so many cool things for you to
Master Dragon,
explore.
do you know where he is?
Master who?
Dragon.
What's a dragon?
Okay, bye.
Goodbye. The dog is following.
No, I don't need this right now.
As you're walking through the western city, you notice all these dogs of different breeds, like, just pour out of the buildings.
Viable piece of land teleport.
Viable piece of land teleport? This town's pretty big. You can see, like, rooftops of buildings and stuff like that.
Of a building.
You go to the rooftop of a building?
Yes.
From the rooftop of the building, you see that mountain that was like a big-ass wave of mountain explosion, yeah, that's still coming. It's coming pretty fast. It's approaching this whole town. Everybody's about to get fucked.
Yeah.
It's spreading out in all directions.
Not me, though. Teleport to a viable piece of land away from the avalanche.
Away from the avalanche? There's nowhere you can see that it won't eventually reach.
But
it doesn't look like it's slowing down its way.
But what I'm saying is that teleport far away, then see where to go next from there.
Well, the next thing that you could see from that rooftop, it depends. What direction do you look at?
Away from the avalanche.
You're just directly away. You see this massive futuristic-looking city.
Teleport there.
Okay. You teleport there. All the buildings have, like, these large, spiky protrusions that, like, obscure vision and make it hard to move through the streets.
Are you kidding me, Jeff?
You see people who are, like, in these rags that are, like, trying to slowly maneuver, some of them holding, like, large crates. You can see that this is, like, everyday life for them.
Why is your city terrible?
They're shackled.
That explains a lot. Where's your leader? We're gonna have an avalanche here and it's gonna destroy us all.
So you're talking, but no one's really paying attention to you. This isn't like Dogtown, where everyone's a dog and really excited. Pain! Pain! Pain!
Carefully navigate around the city for, like, a slave owner's office. Like the head honcho of this town.
Can you do a check? It's your first time ever trying to navigate massive spike protrusions.
Actually, there's an easier way to do this. Teleport in the gaps of the spike protrusions.
Okay, so you can just try and, like, make it work. Okay, I see you. Kirby said, I got him if he takes damage. Kirby said, I got you, fam. You hear it in your mind. Nerdtanker said, am I at the closest cellular tower? You're currently underground, remember? You went under the moat thing or whatever. No, you went under the castle of the Verizon place.
Yeah.
Cellular towers are above ground.
Looking for a head honcho.
You're looking for head honcho?
Yeah.
As you teleport through?
Yeah.
You want to teleport through one area, but there seem to be a bunch of children trying to pass at the moment. So if you were to teleport, you would bump into the children. Do you wait?
Can I see a area farther than the children? Why?
Because the spike protrusions obscure vision past that gap.
Can I hear the avalanche right now?
Can I hear the avalanche? Hit up the roll.
That determines how close it is.
Nerdtanker said, I want it out. Look at the chat earlier. Okay.
Fail.
He said, I will go out of the castle now and look for the nearest Horizon Cellular Tower. Oh, I see that.
Define failure.
So you don't hear that.
So that means that it's far away.
Or
I'm deaf.
Or you hear city sound, and it's loud.
Oh my
It's the cries of pain.
Teleport to
The sound of shackles.
Teleport into the child. Not into the child, but into the gap.
You teleport into the gap, and the child goes, "Ah!" and just falls, like, side ahead directly into, like, one of the spikes. A group of children now surround you.
Sorry, bye. Teleport.
And they just start...
No, teleport.
They swing to hit you with their chains.
Nope.
Do you teleport faster
Jet,
than these children
I'm
hit
teleporting.
you with the chains?
Like, Jet, I'm doing this as like a series of teleports. It's not something... Like, as that kid's falling, I'm teleporting, essentially.
You hadn't made that decision
Jet,
yet.
I wouldn't have just sat there and watched that children get punctured.
You still have to see where the next gap
Right.
is. It's not that
Why would I
quick.
be paying attention to the child?
Exactly.
So-
So those kids will try to hit.
No, what I'm saying, Jet, is why would I watch the kid get impaled?
You would, like, bump into him.
Right.
That would be, like, an unavoidable
So I
thing.
bump into
You'd
him.
be like it's like an instant cut.
But while I'm bumping into him, I'm looking for the next area, essentially.
You're startled by bumping into.
Why would I be okay, let me check to see if I'm startled. I am.
Yes. The kids are gonna try to hit you with the chains. Can you teleport faster than? Can you find a gap?
Yes.
Faster than? Okay, you find a gap.
No, Jet, you're not gonna make me find a gap and then dodge them.
You gotta find the gap. How are you gonna teleport if you don't know where you're gonna go?
Jet, I have to do a separate check just to teleport now?
Well, it's just because you're in, like, an action situation.
Jet, I've never had to be like this.
Matt, you're being actively attacked. And you just got startled by bumping into a kid. You're not, like, on 100% mode right now.
Yes, I've passed both of them.
Okay. So you are able to dodge. You hear the kids go... they all, when they were trying to hit you, end up just hitting each other
And
with
then
the
they
chains.
fall into the spikes.
No, they were in, like, an open area between the spikes.
Jet, if they're hitting each other, they're theoretically knocking themselves backwards a bit.
So, Nerdtanker, do you know where the closest cellular tower is, though? Kirby said avalanches are pretty loud, Nick, especially when it's a city and things would be exploding.
No, everybody's got their stereo at 100, so clearly I can't hear anything.
The cries of pain are pretty loud, Kirby. I can't express it enough. Nerdtanker said, I look around for one. Once you get, like, above ground in hell, Nerdtanker, you'll notice that you see a bunch of souls rising into the sky.
Oh, no, that's separate, never mind. I thought that was from my actions.
They're moving away into the distance, the souls.
We're keep looking for Head Honcho, man.
Also, the smell of cheese grows. So you're still looking for Head Honcho, man?
Yeah, or at least, better yet, we start going to the limits of the city so I can actually start seeing again.
Well, I mean, you still gotta maneuver to try and get there.
Right, but I can just keep teleporting. So essentially I'm moving towards the outskirts of the city.
So as you start teleporting, you start hearing ding dong ding, and this bell must be loud as fuck because you couldn't hear an avalanche earlier. Ding dong ding dong. As let's see. So with the big bell ringing noises, you notice that some of the spikes are retracting.
Oh no!
As others come in. So as you teleport into a space, you can see in front of you the next space is changing, but as you're seeing that, your own space is changing. All of the spikes are changing
Quickly
position
move
with other
to that
spikes.
space.
Are you fast?
No.
Nope. You're gonna take some spike.
6.
You take 6 damage.
And go to the safe spot.
Okay. How much health do you have right now?
33.
You're at 33. That's subtracted.
No, I am at 33.
So, oh yeah. So you already subtracted. Cool. Okay. Kirby said, "Well, you can use the pain cries as a tell that avalanche is
Why is
close."
this city awful?
Kirby said, "Who cut the cheese?" Narratanker said, "I follow the souls." Then Kirby said, "Who cut the cheese, Nick?"
Why is this city actually the worst?
As you follow the souls, you notice, Narratanker, that on the ground in hell, pepperoni and anchovies seem to line the area.
Okay, we keep teleporting and hope that the bell doesn't try to ring on me again.
So you continue teleporting through gaps, and you hear an announcement. "Hello, everyone. It's time for the daily firestorm."
What? What is this city?
Fire will now begin to rain from the sky. Have fun.
Okay, screw this. We're gonna teleport back to that shop that I found at the beginning of Medieval World.
Okay.
Screw this.
You teleport, and you find yourself still in the city.
No! Jet, you're gonna kill me.
No.
Why am I able to just regularly teleport in this city, but not leave the city through teleports?
Violation. You may not leave the city.
Can I ask the thing that was giving me the violation why?
I think you have bigger problems. It was raining fire
I mean, Jet...
and changing spikes.
Okay, Jet, where do you want me to go with changing spikes in a firestorm?
Narratanker said, "Okay, but I'm still going to follow the souls." Kirby said, "I got you, fam," because he can heal.
I don't care. I've got bigger issues than taking a tiny bit of damage from this. I can't leave the city.
You gotta work on something.
Head honcho.
So you're still trying to get to head on?
Now I have to.
Well, you gotta make sure you also dodge the fire rain and the spike gaps change.
Fail.
Fail? Okay.
15.
You take 15 damage.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Jet,
it is fire rain and
Jet,
spikes.
what do you think is gonna happen?
I believe in you.
No, Jet. This is awful. Why does this city exist? Who made this city?
You gotta learn more about
Jet, this is a pointless city.
You gotta learn more about the city. Also, as you're getting hit by fire rain and spikes, you'll notice that, like, there are people with crates who are, like, throwing those shits onto their backs and diving through spike gaps and tumble rolling and grabbing the crates and, like, holding crates up to, like, get hit by the fire instead. Like, you can tell they're, like, adapted. They'll throw crates down.
But they have chains on, Jet.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Their chains, like, bind this arm to this arm and this leg to this leg. They've been living a lot and living in pain. They're still crying in pain. Most deaf. But, I mean, if you don't know how to survive in this city, you're probably just going to die. It's just how it works. You got to adapt.
I talked to them. How do I get to head honcho?
Everyone's just crying in pain. No one's that communicative here. It's all about surviving.
Jet, I'm not going to find the head honcho. Actually, wait, Jet, how have I not how to check to see where the head honcho is?
Kirby said, "I also can revive." Kirby said, "I heal you for 19.
I'm at 34.
You're at 34?
Jet, I should have done a check by now to see if I had found the head honcho.
The Narratanker said, "Anything change about my surroundings or the souls?"
I haven't. It's dumb.
In the distance, you're starting to notice a sign. You can't make it out, but you see flashes of white, green, and red light.
Keep teleporting and finding head honcho.
Okay, so you're still searching. Make sure that you try and dodge those changing spikes and raining flames.
Yes. Did I find it? No. Dodge. No. Damage. This is dumb, Jet. 8.
8?
I'm at 26.
Okay.
Did I find it? Yes.
Okay.
This is a labyrinth all over again, Jeff.
You find a massive building, a tall skyscraper with many red tinted windows.
I teleport to the top floor.
You teleport to lag. Sorry about the lag. Kirby said, what is your max health again?
39.
His max health is 39. Where are you currently at?
22.
He's currently at 22. He's trying to escape a building that is collapsing.
Pass, I found the perimeter.
So you found the perimeter?
Yes, of the city.
Okay, cool. You found the perimeter.
I try going out.
How do you try?
I guess carefully maneuvering through spikes because warping's a bad idea.
So you're going to try and maneuver rather than teleport. Kirby said, I didn't hear the max, I just heard 22. Nerd Tanker said, that's better.
39 max, 22 now.
Yeah, he has 22 health now, but 39 is his max. So you found the perimeter of the city, so what are you going to do?
Walk out, essentially.
So you're going to try to carefully maneuver through the spikes and fire rain?
Yes.
Okay. You got to try to maneuver your way. You still got building avalanche behind you.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. You carefully maneuver through all the spikes and stuff, and you're able to make your way out through the back.
And I'm outside of the city's boundaries.
Yeah.
Warp,
That wave is still coming.
warp out of there now.
Where are you going?
To the next viable piece of land away from this city and away from the avalanche if I can see it.
Okay. You look out in the distance, and it just looks like barren wasteland.
Okay. So, is there anything that looks viably decent?
Right now, it just looks like flat desert land.
I guess I don't have any choice. Actually, no. Just reset my position. Shop that I've started at Medieval World.
Okay. You're back.
How's the shop doing?
How's the shop doing?
Yeah.
Well, you notice that there's a ninja sitting on the building.
Mind ring.
I'm going to kill him.
What to Meiji era?
You work to Meiji. You notice that there's a ninja lying down on the ground.
Mind read.
I'm still going to kill him.
Great.
The ninja turns to you. Have you seen another guy? Another guy like me?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Ooh, where?
At the shop.
That's very vague.
At the shop at the crossroads.
That's also vague.
I can't really tell you because I'm trying to, but I don't have any sense of direction in this world anymore.
Can you draw me like a map or something?
I can't. I've been warping everywhere.
Can you lead me there?
Can you follow warps?
What's a warp?
Then no.
Well, I'm probably gonna get killed if I don't kill him first.
Oh.
Nerd Tanker said, I'm still following the souls. Nerd Tanker, walking gets harder. It seems that cheese is beginning to stick to your feet and stick your feet to the ground.
Now why would he kill you?
Kirby said, sorry, so you are missing 17 health? I'll wait till you go over 19 damage, and then he'll heal you. We're sworn to kill each other.
So if he doesn't know where you are and you don't know where he is, then you should be safe.
But how do I know that he doesn't know where I am?
Presumably he doesn't. I can warp to him and ask him.
If you give away my position,
Oh no, I definitely won't.
I'll kill you.
Of course. Warp back to the first ninja. Ninja, do you know where your other ninja guy is?
Who?
The guy that you're trying to kill.
I'm not trying to kill a ninja.
You're trying to kill me, aren't you?
What? Why?
Who are you trying to kill?
I'm trying to kill a shinobi shaman.
Does the shinobi shaman know where you are?
Yes.
Do you know where he is?
I believe I have a lead.
Which is?
I'm going to follow you.
Can you?
Can I?
Do you know what a warp is?
He throws like a piece of paper at you.
I dodge?
He's like, do you not like reading? I don't, I don't understand.
I pick up the paper?
You pick up the paper. it has a bunch of ink on it, and it's written in a language you don't understand. Nerd Tanker said, Jet, anything new? You're stuck to the ground with cheese. You can't walk.
I read his mind to see what he was thinking about the paper.
What he was thinking about the paper?
Yeah.
He says, I hope he reads the paper.
What are the contents of this paper?
He's like, can you not, are you illiterate?
Apparently.
What the He's like, I can't help you. I'm not like a school teacher.
Well, can you just tell me what this says?
The whole point of writing is that I can, like, hopefully not tell you. Do I have to teach you, like, what the symbols mean?
Yes.
Okay. So he walks up to you, and he's like, you know what, there's a better idea. There's, like, a school for this. It's, like, down the road.
I don't really have time for this right now. I'm trying to find Master Dragon.
Well, I mean, that paper could have had the solution to what you were looking for.
Well, can't you just tell me?
Can't you just read it?
I clearly can.
Literacy should be a basic practice.
Well, look, I can read in the world that I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
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 Uh-huh.
Bye.
And he, like, shrugs at you, like, ah. So
I dropped the paper, by the way.
You drop the paper?
Yeah.
When you drop the paper, he's like, wait, hold on, hand it, don't just drop it.
Well, you won't tell me what it is, so why should I care about it?
And he, like, picks up the paper, and he's like, reading is an art.
Okay. Tell me what it says.
Read!
I can't.
You can. You'll never learn how to read if you deny yourself.
Look, I don't have time for this. I don't.
What are you actively doing?
Looking for Master Dragon.
And what if this says on it
Then
the
tell
location?
me, and I might consider learning how to read.
No, learn how to read so that you can learn what the paper
Well,
says.
then we're at an impasse now, aren't we?
Not really.
Yeah.
You can either just deny the knowledge.
I don't have 5 years to spend learning how to read.
Do you really think it'll take you that long to learn how to read?
I don't think it's going to take a day.
Who knows? You've denied yourself the challenge. Nerd Tanker said, I'll teleport using my armory back towards the castle. I'm going to look for a way out of hell. Where are you going to start your search, Nerd Tanker? That's actually rather, interesting.
Warp towards the first desert town I found.
The first desert town you found?
Yes.
First desert town you found?
Yes.
What did you run into there?
Just like standard desert town with desert travelers.
With desert travelers?
Yeah.
Okay, you arrive. You see a bunch of people with, like, gas masks and, like, trench coats and nets. A lot of people are holding nets.
And none of you guys know where Master Dragon was, I believe?
You see a fish market. They look over at you and it's like, I caught a master of a dragon the other day. You see this fish? The fish is, you can see how big it is. But in case you can't tell how big it is, this fish is as big as how... It's
so how are you doing this in a desert?
What? You never gone sand fishing? Yo, we got ourselves a boat. You wanna join our crew?
No.
Wanna catch some desert fish?
No.
Sissy. Only sissies don't like desert fishing.
Okay, I'm a big sissy.
There's like a woman comes up to you with a gas mask, but you see like her curly red hair come out of the mask, and she's like,
Yeah, you got me.
She's holding a small child. The small child has a gas mask. The baby goes,
Well, you all got me. I'm the big fool.
So everyone in the city just keeps walking up to you. Just going,
Yeah, this is getting me nowhere.
One is like chowing on a fish.
Let's see, next thing. Let's head towards the...
Kirby said, find Mars, like Doom's guy did. He said, where's the Crucible? The Nerd Tanker said, how about the Speedster in Hell? The one who created the staircase. I want to look for the staircase. Okay.
That staircase closed.
Oh, are you going to tell him via
No.
Because you can hear him in the telepathy. You can just tell him that information.
No.
I like how you were like, hey, that... And you're like, nah, fuck that guy, I guess. For no reason. Kirby said, desert fish sounds like Cephrodrome.
We're gonna warp
Is
to
that
the
a Pokemon?
very first location I had, which was the camp with the 3 elves that wanted to kill me.
The camp with the 3 elves?
Yes.
Didn't you, like, murder them?
No, I walked away.
Oh, you heard them say... What did they say before?
You better not come over here.
Nerd Tanker said, "Bro, I got my armory. I'm good."
Like, far enough away that I'm not, like, close to them because I don't want to accidentally automatically aggro them, but far enough away that I can see them.
So, Nerd Tinker, what are you going to use your armor for finding Hell Rider?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about the lag. Okay, so they've left the camp. You see some dogs.
Why is that the benefit?
You see some dogs, though. The dogs have, like, metal armor suits.
Read their minds.
Dog bones. Human faces. Blood. You're just seeing images. They're asleep. They're all dreaming. Kirby then said, "This is a Sephrodrome," in a Google Hangouts message. Nerd Tanker said, "So I'll look for that staircase." You look for the staircase, and as you wander through hell, you notice that you can't seem to find it.
How many doggos are there?
How many doggos are there?
Yeah.
Let's see. There are... roll 2d20.
Oh my god, Jed. 21.
What's the difference?
11.
There are 11 sleeping dogs.
I'm not
at the
screwing with
camp.
that.
Nerd Tanker said,
Well, this endeavor's a failure. We're gonna warp back to the school.
Like on Earth?
Yeah. We're done here.
You attempt to warp back to the school. Instead, you find yourself in a massive chamber. It seems to have a lot of really interesting pillars made out of some mysterious substance you've never seen before. Across from you is a mighty throne, and on that throne is a massive humanoid dragon.
Jed.
Kirby says, "We can see Senpai in the edge of the shot."
No, you can't. Jed, arrange that camera so that...
I like the "no, you can't" followed by the "hey, can you fix it?" I'm in the shot.
Jed, this is dumb. Read Master Dragon's mind.
Hello.
You were able to realize that I was reading your mind?
Yes.
So, why'd you reroute my teleport?
Nerd Tanker said, "I teleport out of hell with my armor." Where do you go, Nerd Tanker? Where you travel? Where did you say to Master Dragon?
Why'd you reroute my teleport?
You were looking for me, right?
I've been doing that for this whole time. Why didn't you reroute me sooner?
Oh, I got word from a turtle in a suit of armor.
How did he know?
He met you.
But I didn't say anything, though.
You didn't have to.
So why didn't you reroute me sooner?
Oh, that turtle took a long time to get here.
That turtle was moving really fast.
Yeah. You don't know how far you've been. You actually almost got to me. I heard word that you passed through the prison city.
How do you know that?
Oh, I had some eyewitnesses report back to me.
Like who?
The head honcho before he was murdered by assassins. Those assassins being the elves that you met earlier.
So you just have everybody in all corners of the world. Why couldn't nobody tell me about your existence?
Not many people know I exist.
Yet you have everything in the corners of the world.
How can you do that without having, like, shadow secrecy?
Okay. So, I just want one thing out of you. I've been through hell and back. I just want to take a picture of one of your jewels.
You want to take a picture of
one of the
my...
magic jewels that you've been searching for.
Sorry, but that's some need-to-know information.
I just want to have their luster because I want to help you gather jewels.
Why do you need a picture? Clearly you know of them.
I do know of them. However, I want to have the memory for myself forever before you acquire all the jewels.
Nerd Tanker said, hopefully to Earth's surface, or whatever the planet is called surface. Kirby said Master Dragon has a secret police. If your teleportation has, like, limits of distance, it's not like hell is directly underground. It's still, like, its own dimension, but, like, the staircase that Hellrider has makes it where you can kind of casually go back and forth. Like, that's how it works. But it's not like that normally. You can't just dig and find hell. So Master Dragon goes, more than likely you want to take a picture of a jewel in order for you to use some sort of ability that will allow you just, I don't know, pull jewels from images? Is that the plan?
That seems like a very far-stretching idea that you have there.
If you can do such a thing, I would love for you to do that for me. But I wouldn't want you to do that to me.
Of course.
So I wouldn't have you have any pictures of my jewels.
I can guarantee you that I do not have that. You can look into the soul of my being to see that I can't do that.
Well, I believe that you assume that I don't understand the concept of video games. But I am quite hip with the kids.
Okay. Well, I can guarantee you that I actually can't think of anything off the top of my head that would allow me to pull things out of images.
Why would I want to put it in your mind? The solution to your problem.
You're right, which means I can't do it.
But it is possible.
It's possible.
So I won't allow you to.
But it's possible for me to become invincible, but you can't just stop that.
I could just also be invincible.
Can you pull things from game portals?
How do you know I'm not already invincible? Kirby said Master Dragon has a secret police. Kirby said, I'll find Hellrider then. Kirby said this isn't the Greek hell where you can just fall directly into hell. And he said, oh no, we have a 12-year-old dragon that plays Call of Duty.
That sounds about right now.
Nerdtinker, where do you start for your search for Hellrider?
Look, I can more than likely guarantee you that I cannot pull items out of images, and if I could, I promise you that I would not try and do that to you.
I don't believe you.
Why not?
I know more than you know I know.
Why?
Why would I tell you? You only get to positions like this with a certain amount of shadowy secrecy.
You're right, and I completely commend you for that. But I just want to... I really do want to have the beauty of the jewel for all eternity. I just want this one wish. I've been through hell. I've been dealing with spikes and firestorms and things exploding around me.
Sounds like the prison city.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't go to the prison city.
Do you know why that exists?
It's a prison.
Yeah.
Nerdtinker said, I start where I last saw Hellrider. That area where the demon child tried to fight Shadow Darkgale. Matt, the demon child...
Fought me by the staircase that led to my room, but that's closed.
But did the demon child get arrested?
Yes.
Is that the whole thing? Yeah, I remember that. Kirby said prison city. It's a prison. Sounds about right. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know it was a prison city when I was first there. I just knew it was an awful place to live.
Yeah, but he said, yeah, the prison city. And then you asked, why does that exist? And then he said, it's a prison. Yeah.
I've been through so much, and I don't even want to start a fight with you. I just really want to have this luster for my enjoyment.
The dragon god, the master dragon says, start a fight with me.
No,
I know you don't. Because I would 360 no-scope ride guided missile that ass.
Are we really doing this right now? I just want a picture. That's what I want.
For a malicious purpose.
You don't even know if it's a malicious.
But I do.
But you don't.
But I
You're
do.
assuming things.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't malicious in this...
You're assuming that I'm assuming things.
But you're assuming that I'm just going to pull it out of an image. And I'm telling you that I can't. And that I wouldn't think to do so.
Kirby said 360 no-scope. You said, oh gosh, no. Face palm all day. When you say that, Kirby, The Dragon Master goes, "Facepalm, I would pwn you in an instant." He then says, "Sorry, I got distracted. You have very interesting channels in your mind."
So if you're reading my entire mind, then you would already know that I don't have any ill intention.
I don't trust you.
But you're seeing all of my thoughts.
That's why I don't trust you.
What are my thoughts telling you then?
I know that you have bigger ambitions than you should.
Like?
You only get to a position like this with a certain level of shadowy secrecy.
Look, you are reading my entire mind and all of my thoughts. So essentially, you know all of my secrets. All you're doing is retelling me my own secrets.
Nerdtanker said, "All around me are familiar faces." Then Kirby said, "Facepalming isn't exactly a positive thing to be doing." Let's see. So, the Master Dragon says, "I brought you here for one reason. I want you to collect jewels for me. If you want to take pictures of those jewels, I don't know. I kind of don't want you to. But if you do it on your own time, on your own planet, that's up to you. And if you don't collect jewels from me, I can just kind of kill you. I'm Master Dragon."
Can't you do that with essentially everybody?
I mean, yeah, I have my ways. But yeah, so would you like to collect jewels for me? You seem very capable. You survived the prison city. You survived the blowing up of an entire mountain.
Can I ask you what you're even going to do with these jewels if you're invincible right now?
Hey, you only get to positions like this with a certain level of shadowy secrecy.
Of course you do. Are you actually invincible?
I don't think you want to find that out. Nerdtanker said, "Hell Rider, show yourself!" he yells. You see in the distance the glow of white, red, and green as a path of cheese, anchovies, and pepperoni approaches you and begins to spread across the floor of hell. Kirby said, "People don't exactly compete to see who can facepalm the best."
You're not going to let me teleport out until I give you an answer, are you?
I mean, you could try to teleport out and just appear back in this room.
Yeah, so...
You could try to teleport out and appear in the center of the sun. There are a lot of places teleporting can lead
So
someone.
in other words, you're strong-arming me.
He lifts his eyebrows. Kirby said, "What is the Mexican portion of hell?" The Mexican portion of hell? It seems pretty Italian so far. Oh wait, he said, "What is this, the Mexican?" Oh, I see how he said it. What is this? The Mexican portion of hell is what you're going for? I see the colors. I can definitely get that feel.
You're strong-arming me.
He lifts his eyebrows.
Yes, no.
He tilts his head.
Yes.
Makes eye contact.
You're definitely strong-arming.
Squints his eyes.
You're definitely strong-arming me.
Sticks a tongue out.
You're essentially giving me no choice in this.
Sticks 9 more tongues out.
Yeah, you're definitely strong-arming me.
A ninja appears.
Huh?
He's like, "Did you learn how to read yet?"
Now's not the time for this, you know.
What do you mean? You could have probably been here earlier if you, I don't know, read. And Master Dragon goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, you're illiterate?
Yes.
Why can't you read?"
Because I don't have that inspiring power of the jewels.
He's like, "Please shut the fuck up. I can get you classes. Illiteracy is a big problem. People have gone to the prison city for less. Like, you should learn how to read, for real. I can give you a book.
I just want a picture of a jewel. That's all I want.
You can get a lot more things in life with a nice education. You don't get good at games like me without knowing how to read instruction manuals, game guides."
I can read everything on my world.
Mm-hmm. Then how does that allow you to expand your gaming prowess to that of other worlds?
I don't want that.
Do you think this planet is simply made of things from only this world?
I mean, I haven't seen your games.
This is an amalgamation of many worlds.
Mainly medieval?
Don't limit your mind's scope. Much of my world still hasn't been explored by you. Nerdtanker said yes.
So
Kirby
lies?
said 9 more tongues. What the fuck? Nerdtanker said Hellrider, I need a way back to the surface. You still haven't seen Hellrider. You just saw the lights glow, and now the ground's covered in cheese, pepperoni, and anchovies. Kirby says he's not from the place. He doesn't know the symbols of this region. But you should learn them. You should try and learn all the languages you can.
I can't just dedicate time to learning all the languages of the universe.
But you can dedicate your time to take one picture.
Yes.
That sounds like a much lesser goal.
Well, can't I be a lesser human being?
I would prefer you not. I'd prefer that you try and expand yourself to the best of your abilities, as long as you don't get in my way.
I'd prefer you not to be a giant roadblock for no good reason, but we can't have that, can we?
I mean, I don't know.
I just want a picture and you won't let me have it.
I don't want you to have the
Exactly.
picture, because I know what you're capable of.
But if I'm hunting your jewels for you, then I'm just going to take a picture at that point anyway.
You can try at that time. When you get to that. We'll see what happens. Excuse me. But would you like to? Or do you feel you have to?
I more or less feel like you're going to force me into it, otherwise you're going to kill me.
I mean, that's definitely what it looks like.
Which I would rather not.
I'm sure
Actually, why has the player pin been protecting me this entire time?
From what?
From the mind reading.
From his mind reading?
Yeah, because it protects against mind reading and mind implanting.
Well, I guess you don't know at the moment. You don't know why.
Jay, you're just letting things fly just to strong-arm me.
I mean, certain things you don't know until you learn.
Jed,
You were in that city and you were like, why is the city like this? And then you learned this prison city. You're not going to learn things until you know.
Jed, I don't want to work for this guy, and you're going to force me to work for this guy, and I can't do anything about that.
I mean, maybe you can do something about it.
I could try to fight him, but I'm not going to win.
You just gotta
I'm not going to fight Magic God, Jed.
do what you want to do. Man.
Jed, I'm going to die.
Just do what you want to do now. Let's see. Nerdtanker said, I go toward the light, but make sure I don't step on cheese. The cheese continues to spread. Kirby said, excuse me, Master Dragon. Are you his father? Who are you to say what he should and shouldn't do? Kirby with the sass. Master Dragon has a massive grin on his face. He is very entertained, but he doesn't speak. But you know what he's reacting to. You hear it too. Nerdtanker said, here's a question. When did hell become a pizza? Well, as you've stated, hell has pretty much become a pizza now. All the ground is covered in pepperoni, anchovies, and cheese.
Can I just extend a quick proposition to you, Master Dragon? A fair duel between me and one of your subordinates. And if you win, I work for you, and if I win, that I get a picture.
Why would I give you exactly what you want for winning one duel against one subordinate?
I mean, how many duels should I win?
You should win. Roll 1d20.
I'm gonna laugh if it gets a 1. 6.
You should win 6 duels against my subordinates.
Can I have rests between?
Sure. And with each loss, I should get something in return.
I mean, I don't. Once I lose the first one, I work for you.
Oh no, I'm willing to give you as many tries as you. Sorry about the lag. We definitely hit the lag. Let's see. Nerdtanker.
But I would also, if I'm going for something from you, you should at least tell me what I'm having to give you if I lose. If you're giving me something if I win.
Well, we know what you'll get if you win 6
Right.
straight.
So what do I give you if I lose?
I would say the first thing I would ask of you is your soul, and we would just move from there.
Why does everybody want my soul?
Why not? It's one of those things you desire once you hit a certain level of power. Then the second thing would probably be for you to aspire to become as literate as possible.
Why in that order?
Well, I just want your soul first. Then we can work on getting you literate. I really do want you to have that
If you
education.
have my soul, don't you essentially have control over me?
No, that's not how that works. Scavenger said, sorry, my mom is forcing me to go to bed. See ya, hope you guys have a fun adventure. Have a great night, Scavenger, and thank you for tuning in. Nerdtanker said, your soul is powerful. Master Dragon is like, now I must warn you. These duels, if you choose to accept them. Kirby said, also we're past an hour. I'm going to stop this at an hour and 15 minutes. So you only have like 2 more minutes. I must warn you, these duels, if you choose to accept them. If you don't, then you can just work for me. Because the other option is, as you say, I strong arm you. During these duels, you will not have access to any of your normal items or abilities.
So how do I win?
You will be given a new ability, and your opponent will have the same ability and none of their normal items.
Why?
You want a fair fight? That is fair, evenly matched. Also, you won't have access to the abilities of others. And don't worry, dying in these challenges matters not. You don't actually die. It just represents you losing the challenge. Also, your health will be quite different from its normal state.
Of course it will be. I'm gonna have like 5 health.
It's just a balancing precaution. Let's see. Nerdtanker said, so is the light a way up? So once you travel to the light, you discover that it's a Papa John's. It's the only area of the world that's not covered in pizza, and it's the source of the pizza. Kirby said, so it's a mirror match. Who can use the abilities better than the other?
When you take a very random amount of damage, that's dumb.
Oh, well, you'll know soon enough how things work out.
I mean, you just told me that you were going to tell me all the conditions of the duel. I should know that too, shouldn't I?
Well, the way that damage works has to do with how the powers work, which you will learn shortly. We'll put you in training, but only if you accept. You must answer me now.
We're going to try this. Player rank to see if I can convince him to forego all of this nonsense.
Player what?
Player pin.
Player pin? So you're gonna...
Might as well.
Okay, you attempt to use player pin. To which then he goes, I allow you to do what you do, and I disallow you to do what I don't want you to do.
Yeah, I figured that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, how do you think you got here?
Look, why can't this just be simple? I don't want to work for you. I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to get completely destroyed out of the randomness of how powers work.
Nerdtanker said, I go into the Papa John's and see if anyone is cooking. You see Hellrider in the kitchen serving up the Demon Kid at the Papa John's.
Oh.
So, anyways, back to you.
Fights are so random that even in a fair fight, it can very easily go into a position where I'm going to get screwed in a set of 6 fights.
The system's different.
How different?
You will see soon.
That's not what I'm asking.
Next time on Jank Heroes.
Now I don't want to play Jank Heroes anymore.
Kirby said you found both objectives for Nerdtanker with the Papa John's.
I am actually upset now, Jet. Like, more upset than I think I've ever been with Jank Heroes.
You weren't ready for Master Dragon.
I just wanted a picture. One picture. Master Dragon should not be this god tier magic god level opponent.
Master Dragon, the ruler of an entire planet, that all the medieval creatures on the planet Earth are following the rules of and collecting the jewels for, the one with the shadow government that watches over the planet, of which most people don't even know he exists.
Why does he have a giant shadow government?
He's practically a myth shouldn't be god tier, is what you said.
I don't think he should have.
Shouldn't be really powerful.
I don't think he should have had a shadow government. I don't think he has should have a desire to force me into labor for him. Like, you tried doing this earlier with a smaller dragon and it was done. I don't like working for people. And he shouldn't have a real desire to have me work for him. If he dwarfs me. That's the thing. If he dwarfs everybody by that much, he shouldn't need minions.
There's a lot you don't know. You play off of a lot of assumptions, and you hold them true. I mean, and then you don't really try to learn a lot more about the things. You just complain about the things.
Jed, I complain about them because of how much they go against me most of the time.
I feel like if you became more knowledgeable and you just learned more in the world.
Jed, I don't try and aggro people most of the time so that I can get more knowledge.
You don't have to aggro for knowledge.
Jed, if you just start aggroing people, that gets you into a very fast grave.
But you don't have to aggro for knowledge. Nerd Tanker says, is anyone cooking in the Papa John's? Did Nerd Tanker miss the whole thing about the Papa John's? When you walked in the Papa John's, Hell Rider's in the kitchen cooking up pizzas for the Demon Kid. Also, we ended the session. Right now
also, you said cooking up the Demon Kid, not cooking pizzas for the Demon Kid.
Serving up. So he's serving up pizzas for him. Not serving him as a pizza. What a weird... Imagine! Imagine if that was the thing. He's serving... I like your way of imagining it. But no, he's serving him pizza. He's not serving him as... Damn, how morbid would that be? Nerd Tanker's arc leading him to the kid baked in a pizza. No, he's not baked in a pizza. I see how your version would go. He's being served pizza by Hell Rider.
But Jed, I should not be forced into a strong arm situation like this.
Who says you're forced?
I'm most definitely forced, Jed. Like, I can assume that he won't kill me, but knowing that he could reroute teleportation, that's a pretty strong thing. Knowing that he can read every thought that I have, even with an item that explicitly protects from that kind of stuff, I have a good reason to assume that he can destroy me, Jed. But see, you keep thinking that people can fight Magic God, and they can't.
But you don't know much.
Jed, no matter how little I know, if he can completely flip my world perspective and essentially leave me hanging off of nothing, I have a reason to fear him. I can assume on the tiniest sliver that maybe I'm stronger than him, but why gamble with that, Jed? Why take the tiniest gamble when I'm the worst with luck?
You just need to learn more.
There is no learning, Jed. I'm in a position where I have to either do it or die. There is no learning here.
There's plenty of learning.
No, there isn't. I can learn to read a language, and that gets me nowhere.
How do you know learning the language gets you nowhere?
Because I'm still within their care, which means they're still able to strong-arm me at any given point.
Mm-hmm.
Me learning their language is not going to be like, oh, you get a free pass, you can leave now.
Who knows?
Jet.
You haven't done any of the things.
Jet. They have me within their grasp. They are not going to let go. And if you say you have to know, then that's ridiculous. Your character should not be so random that they just change on the flip of a dime.
Matt, you can't assume too hard. I feel like you assume a lot and then get really upset. And then when you learn stuff, it's still like isn't enough because you're not necessarily going to apply it. You learn it as a, oh, that's a thing.
I learned it as, oh, that's a thing because I've already gone through so much. I've gone through the prison city where I can't apparently warp out when I can warp in.
Mm-hmm.
And I get completely screwed over by the mechanics of that city when I don't have a real counter to that. When I can't use my powers normally in Medieval World. And yes, I can't use it because my clones disappeared when I was in medieval world.
I remember.
Yeah, you see where I am now?
But I still don't feel like you understand a lot. You don't experiment enough with stuff.
Jet, if my powers don't work, where am I going to go? I only have the stuff that I have on me. My stuff is not that deep. I don't have that much stuff that I can just deal with stuff. The player pin's useful until you realize that everything can apparently bypass it.
So real quick, we're going to click Oblivious on real quick.
Yes, click Oblivious on. I want to know where you're coming from.
You've only tried the clone. Like, how do you know all your powers don't work? Have you tried anything else? Or did, when the clones didn't work, you said, fuck, I guess all my powers don't work.
Jet.
I guess I can't use
Why
any
would
of
it
my
specifically
powers.
be against cloning?
Shouldn't you try to figure that out instead of just accepting it as a part of life, as an assumption?
Okay, Jet, let me ask you this. Oblivious. Had I tried any of my other powers, would any of them have worked?
Would they? Like, you gotta, like, you can't just try one thing and then assume
I'm
all
asking
things are
you,
gone.
as a game master, with Oblivious on, would any of my other powers have flown?
The most I'll give you on that is there's a reason why your clone thing didn't work. It's not just random. Doesn't work. But why? That's what I'm saying. Like, you should question these things. Don't just assume because one thing doesn't work one time that it's just all fucked. That's what I'm saying. I feel like you don't do enough, like, knowledge, like, what is this?
So should I just attack Master Dragon and expect that to go peachy?
That's really different from why do my powers not work? Or power.
But Jet, what
as
you're
far as you know.
ultimately saying about my playstyle is that I don't take enough chances with things.
Not even chances as much as just trying to learn. You don't even ask people, do powers work here? Or, like, try to use your powers again at any point. You just go, I guess I can't. I guess I'll have to deal with it.
Because we'll have conversations like with Stasis where I'm arguing for 30 minutes and then I end up getting nowhere.
That's because I just completely disagreed with your theory on stasis.
But Jet, this has happened multiple times. This happened with the rabbit in the top hat, with me trying to figure out who it was and you being stubborn and not telling me about it. This has happened with you trying to strong arm me before with things. This has happened when you try and push a story event specifically on me and I don't want to deal with it. You do this all the time. So at some point I get tired of
solutions for those things.
But Jet,
you just have to search for them.
But I get tired of dealing with it over and over again.
And not constantly just push one agenda. You say that I constantly push one thing, but the issue is when you're presented with a problem, if you just try one thing the whole time and it's not working, and then you just complain, my one thing doesn't work, don't act like you only have one thing. Just try other ideas.
Yeah, I do an avoidance strategy to avoid conflicts that I don't necessarily think will work out the best.
But is there only one avoidance strategy? Are you telling me that there's no other strategy to avoid conflict with Master Dragon than just saying, hey, can I just have a picture? I don't want to deal with this. Can I just have a picture?
I'd just rather have a picture than deal with this. You're not, there's nothing up to barter. You're not, like, trying to convince him in any natural way. There's no, like, charisma. There's no, like, because there is no
thinking
charisma
of,
stat,
like,
Jet.
an actual solution.
There is no charisma stat, Jet. You can't expect me, because things don't work normally.
It's just you
Jank Heroes has
pushing
never worked,
one thing.
but Jank Heroes has never worked in a normal fashion. If a character definitively has an agenda, Master Dragon has a very definitive mindset. You are not going to tell me that I can charisma my way out of that.
You gotta find a way to play around Master Dragon. And it's not my job to tell you how to do it.
But Jet, you're telling me to play around Master Dragon. How do I do that against someone who clearly has the upper edge and power over me?
You gotta find out what your upper edge is.
What is Jet?
You gotta find that out. It's a part of playing the game.
Jet, it's
Master Dragon's an obstacle.
It's like trying to figure out constructs out of a million powers in the dream world. How am I supposed to just randomly figure this stuff out? You're saying try things, but it boils down to, if I pick making constructs as the last thing of a million things to try, am I ever going to actually realistically get there?
No.
Jet, the answer is no if it's a million things and it's the last thing I pick.
You gotta find a way to work around stuff. It's just about being more adaptive.
There is no adaptive here though, Jet.
But there is.
But there isn't.
How do you think people who play like harder, more hardcore long sessions, like Jared, get around stuff?
I don't know.
Like
You
this?
only make the sessions 1 hour, remember?
Yeah. But I'm saying like long sessions as in they've played and they've played and they've played, but their stories keep going.
And I've played and I've played and I've played, Jen, and I still get screwed over.
But it seems like there must be a fundamental difference between how you solve problems.
But that's not necessarily how it plays out, Jet, because of all Jank cures that I've done, most of the things that I've failed to were out of my control.
I don't feel like that's true.
Getting gangbanged by 5 other people, getting stuck in a dream world. They were more or less out of my control. Could I have influenced things a little bit? Sure, I won't say that I was completely out of control. There were things I possibly could have done, but you're telling me that I had to essentially do things exactly right in order to do it. In order to survive the gangbanging, I had to have very specifically been like, hey, I needed to fly so I wasn't getting sent to hell, which I couldn't have known about. The shock of that moment would not entice me to fly immediately.
Kirby said you aren't for player objectives. You aren't what? And also, who is that directed to?
I think towards Jet, because I'm very much for my player objectives. So the idea that you pushing a story means that you're not for player objectives would make sense from how Kirby's viewing this.
Well, I'm not defining your objectives. I put obstacles in the world because the world puts obstacles in your way.
You're right, but at the same time, they shouldn't be so damning that they can just force a new objective on you.
But I feel like you're just allowing things to force you around. It's not that the world actually is forcing you to do things. You're taking too many things at face value and assuming that that's how they are. You don't try to find more creative solutions around things.
Jet,
What I'm not for is for player solutions. You have to solve the problems. I can just put the problems in your way.
my powers work in a cohesive manner where they only extend to a certain extent of what they can actually do.
Kirby said you're completely changing his objectives with plot things that would take multiple sessions to complete. Depends on how you target these things and how you overcome your problems.
Bruiser, multiple sessions, on me like a hound. You expected me to fight Hulk that was apparently like the ultimate thing in DC.
You never... If you always stick to just, Bruiser, trust me. Bruiser, trust me. Bruiser, just trust me. Speed Patrol, I just don't want to be a member. I just don't want to be a member. If you only have one solution that you stick with over and over and it doesn't work, you can't be upset that it doesn't work.
But here's the main problem, Jet. If I go into a contract, I am going to honor it 100%. Because that's my character. That's why I would rather not be in it, and if I am in it, I would like to try and find a way out of it. But the moment I go into a contract, I'm going to honor it more or less. That's my character and how he perceives contracts, essentially. He does not feel like going against a contract is good. He feels very honor-bound to do a contract. So if I take Master Dragon's contract, I'm stuck there, essentially, unless he lets me have an out.
I feel like your character's significantly more flexible than you describe him For example, don't cut off your subspace communicator. It's a part of being a member of the speed patrol. I sneak and try and find a way to cut off my subspace communicator. The guy shows up. Hey, a part of your speed patrol thing, can't have your subspace communicator off.
Jet, there's a difference between...
I sneak and find a way to cut my subspace communicator off, even though I'm a member of speed patrol.
Jet,
Part of my duty is to keep it on.
There's a difference between following orders and doing duties and following, like, to say that having your subspace communicator on is a necessity is silly. Following the Speed Patrol's general order makes a lot more sense than keeping one specific, like putting on a uniform is a silly thing when you're ultimately doing the same thing for them.
I feel like that doesn't sound right, just if you put it in like any normal context. I'm a police officer. Putting on a uniform's unnecessary. I could do that just in normal clothes. Use my walkie-talkie to communicate back to headquarters. What's this? I don't need that. They were essentially putting you in to like speedster police. And you're like, nah, uniform, what? Nah, walkie-talkie, my main communication source with you. What? No, neither of those things. Like, that sounds ridiculous. Like, the way that you're, like, contesting it is just like, why would I do those things that are mainstays for what they are? I don't get it.
But Jet, there's one other thing, and it's the fact that I'm a solo person. My character does not like teams. That's his rationalization for this stuff. I will deem it silly when a police officer is going in regular clothes and isn't using his walkie-talkie with other police officers. Because most people in the line of a police officer's work would not be so antisocial where they can even land that position in the first place. I was forced against my will to be a part of the Speed Patrol because of a lawsuit that I didn't even want to really exist in the first place because of Bruiser.
But you gotta work around problems. And if you don't work around problems, you can't be surprised if they snowball.
But Jet, to work around a problem requires you to have some avenue to work around them in the first place.
And I feel like avenues are there for just things that just aren't tried.
Tell me how I could have handled Bruiser.
I feel like the Bruiser situation, like, is handleable.
Tell me how.
Tell you how.
Tell me how.
A lot of things are like, I don't know more about Bruiser because of the situation. A lot of things exist.
What would you have done in my shoes?
In your shoes with your powers?
With my powers, one more thing, one stipulation, that I had shown him the Hero Framer's room.
Okay. Kirby said, for example, when you put a dragon outside his window.
Yeah, that was another one, Jet.
That was like another lead into a thing. That still has story implication, by the way.
Yeah, because Aiden has the dragon.
But there was still a reason why the dragon came to your window.
Probably because of Master Dragon, if I had to guess.
You never investigate deeper into things.
Because I don't want to be a part of it, Jet.
But then you can't get mad that because you don't know something, that something bad happens.
But Jet, what I'm saying is that I get mad at it because it's immediately in my area. I talk to him. He's like, hey, work for me. Why? Because I said so, and if you don't, I'm going to burn your room down. And I'm like, but I don't want to. Where do you go from there? If he's going to burn me and my room down if I do not work for him, that is his definitive world. And I didn't have the player pin back then, so I couldn't even convince him. That was his mindset, that I'm going to make you work for me or else. You can't just fight that, Jet. I could have fought the dragon, maybe. And I possibly could have won given how you do most normal enemies. But it's a matter of, why do I kill things? I don't normally like killing things.
Well, you don't just have to kill everything in your path. Kirby said he had goals in mind, but you completely change them with the dragon. It's either he dies or he does this thing that he doesn't want to do. I feel like the choices aren't as binary as Matt makes them.
Well, they weren't because I obviously was able to escape, but that's besides the point.
You did just escape the dragon.
I did just escape, but that's besides the point. It was
what
either.
Do you mean it's besides the point?
It's besides the point because I had to actively avoid the situation altogether in order to get out of it.
you act like that's the only solution that could have came up at the time.
What other solutions?
I'm very flexible, like, at the time of things, because I'll be defining things, like, as I go.
But
and if I have the definition, if you do something that would work around that definition, I would just allow it. And for other things, sometimes you can just do checks, and you would just be able to work around it. I just feel like you don't try as many avenues as you can to get what you want. You'll pick one solution and stay, like, die hard on it because you feel like it's the only thing you can do, even if that's not true.
Because guarantees work a lot better than chances that don't work in your favor, Jet.
Is it really a guarantee if it doesn't work in your favor?
Normally it is, Jet, but when you completely block it, then it becomes a matter where I have to roll. And if I have to roll, my character's an analytical person who does not like risking things. That's why he's avoidant. That's why he doesn't like working with people. And when I have to gamble with things, both as a player and as a character, I can't.
If you're analytical, then why don't you try to break down situations to learn more about them to find the actual best solution instead of sticking to your guns on a very bare bones concept of, no, I don't wanna, because that's normally the solution.
That's normally the solution because that's where I'm trying to go. I could try playing people off, but then here's the other thing. That more or less pushes me away from being a hero in the first place.
I don't entirely understand. Real quick, Kirby says it's either his room is torched, he joins the dragon, or he avoids the dragon, and then the dragon chases him. Are you sure there isn't another, like, path within the chain? I get the idea. The room torch is you saying, like, no, I don't want to work with the dragon. Joining the dragon, of course, is just, like, you accepting the dragon. Avoiding the dragon is what you actually did.
Okay,
but those are only taking the presented scenarios that the dragon gives you, rather than just making your own scenario other than the one you chose, which is avoiding.
Okay, then it's like, oh, I just want to chase rainbows instead. That's what I'll do, Jet.
But that doesn't actually make any... Like, your analytical character doesn't just say random bullshit. Possibilities of things in the case of the dragon in particular.
What we keep trying to figure out is, if there are so many possibilities, then what are they?
So, for the dragon, right? Because Kirby straight up, like, made, like, an outline of, like, possible things for the dragon. If you used a game portal, Matt, what would you have used from game portal to try and get around the dragon? Are there any games that you've played in the past, or that you know of, that would have, like, items that are or weapons that specifically could help you work around the dragon, and not necessarily the player pin? I know that's one that you, like, adapted later. It could have possibly adapted at that moment, you know, using the power. But other than, like, the player pin, I'm sure there are, like, games that you have played where you'd be like, oh, in this situation, this would actually be, like, rather useful.
Okay, let's put this then. What happens when I open a portal when he's asking me to work for me?
Now, one thing you could, as a part of your personality description, however, he is... Sorry about the lag. So, what you could have done for the game portal in order to play it off. So, Matt says that his character is very honor-bound and that, like, he has to, like, stick to agreements. But if you read his personality description...
I am manipulative.
An intelligent 20-year-old who does not actively seek fights. However, he is a manipulative individual who will play people off of each other as needed. If positioned between ambitions and a looming conflict, diplomacy comes first, unless unrealistic, then tactical battle. Unless realistic, then tactical battle. If you feel that talking with the dragon is not going to be a realistic ploy to get what you want, then tactical battle is, like, based on your own writing, what your character goes for. That's, like, who your character is.
But he's still honor-bound. Like, the thing is,
But
Jet,
where is that?
because I can't write everything in 3 sentences, Jet.
But I'm saying, like, you're holding yourself to something that the game itself doesn't even, like, hold you to.
But Jeff, because I'm playing
that
character.
Then it would be really different.
But Jeff, I am playing that character. The fact of the matter is that if I'm playing a character in a certain personality type, then I'm still ultimately following that personality type. Even if it has some negative repercussions for me. But I shouldn't be punished full-heartedly for it.
But I feel like you're not necessarily punished full-heartedly for it. But I just feel like you don't really play your character as written, but you push that there's, like, unwritten rules that your character follows that somehow contradict your character as written.
It's not contradiction, though.
Well, in situations where diplomacy is unrealistic, I never see you do tactical battle for real. That doesn't happen. Like, that's the thing that gets me. But you have this hard honor-bound contract code that's, like, not on the sheet. But on the sheet is the thing that you don't do.
But, Jed, I do tactical battle to a certain extent. It's like planning things out and figuring out what a good solution would be when I'm in combat.
But this specifically says, if positioned between ambitions, like your personal goals, like your objectives that you set for yourself, and a looming conflict, like your encounters, with like the dragon, or with Bruiser, or with Master Dragon, diplomacy comes first, like with Bruiser. Like, hey, I don't want to do this. I'm not the hero friend. Or with the Speed Patrol, I don't want to do this. I want to go alone. Or with Master Dragon, I don't want to do this. I just want a photo. Diplomacy, like, I do see that. I do see when you try that. Diplomacy comes first. Unless unrealistic. Bruiser's gonna keep, like, hounding you. Speed Patrol is like, hey, you're bound to us. This is what you gotta do. Master Dragon, I'm not just going to, like, take that as an answer. I want you to do what I want to do. It seems like over the course of the game, you repeatedly run into situations where this sentence, welcome back Nerd Tanker, where this sentence comes into play, but then it doesn't. Like, it stays at the part where diplomacy's unrealistic, and it never goes to then tactical battle. And then the whole time you go, man, I can't get out of this thing.
Jeff, because
there's no other thing.
Because of a combination of pragmatism and not wanting to kill everybody. Bruiser, I could have hid in the shadows and just Darkness Speared him, or Darkness Reavered him a bunch and killed him. That would have solved the problem. But, like, I don't want to just randomly kill people. Bruiser, as annoying and wrong as he was, didn't deserve to die.
Then, also, why is it that diplomacy always sticks to, like, just saying no?
Because it's not normally no. It's more so that I'm trying to have a conversation with you and trying to discuss things with you.
Also, Nerd Tanker said, anyone cooking in the Papa John's? Nerd Tanker, have you missed every time we mention the Papa John's thing? So, the session is already ended for this one, but I answered your question like a couple times earlier. And the Papa John's is Hellrider. And Hellrider is serving up pizzas for your boy being the demon kid who's there. Kirby said sometimes tactical battle is either ethically wrong or it's just not going to end in his favor. Then Nerd Tanker said, Hellrider? Yes, Hellrider, serving pizzas in the Papa John to the demon kid. But the session is over. Right now we're like in post-session discussion. So essentially Matt is talking about the things that he like doesn't like in the game. And I'm essentially saying that like, hey, you know, I feel like a lot of things that you don't like in the game have to do more with how you play it and not the game itself. And then I'm giving examples comparing like, why is it that like you hit a lot of these roadblocks where like other people don't? Why is it in a lot of like situations you use like the same solutions? Why is it that you don't stick closer to like your character sheet?
Because I'm bound more by the morals that I put into my character.
But I feel like the morals you put into your character, like that's still fine, right? But I still feel like you don't use enough creativity to complain that you're in dead-end scenarios. They're not dead ends unless you make them dead ends, is the thing. To which then you'll be like, but Jet, all you do is just cuck me at every corner. But I feel like you don't turn every corner. So, like, how can I cuck you at every corner? You know what I mean?
Because, Jet, I can't be exhaustive for everything.
Also, don't worry, Nerd Tinker. You'll learn next time you're on what's going on with the Papa Johns in hell.
Like, I can choose to be exhaustive, but here's the thing. Every action I take is ultimately going to happen if I do an exhaustive search for the right answer. Now, whenever I do something, that immediately impacts the situation. So I then have to do another exhaustive search. Do you see where this goes, Jed?
You need to think through your actions like an intelligent 20-year-old.
But Jed, even if I do something that seems to be the best idea, it's gonna backfire a lot of times. And it has backfired a lot of times.
But you only seem to push one thing. You should be willing to switch gears. Willing to try and adapt a situation.
Jed, should I trust a random stranger who's hunting me down thinking I'm the hero framer?
You don't have to trust him.
So...
You can manipulate him.
But Jed...
You don't have to fight him.
But what I'm saying, Jed, is when I first met Bruiser, he was like, hey, you're the hero framer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. So Bruiser believes you're the hero framer. So what do you do?
Should I trust him into my room where essentially I live so that he can hunt me down whenever he wants?
Couldn't you try and work around the situation in a different way other than leading him to your room?
Like?
Okay, so Bruiser was a character who could follow you in darkness, but didn't, like, mess with you in darkness. Like, he couldn't.
I mean, I could just
follow.
sit in darkness forever.
But you don't have to just sit there. Bruiser follows you when you move through darkness. Why not, like, lead him somewhere? As just one of many possible things. So you don't just have merge with darkness. You have other powers. You have other resources, even. What would Bruiser have done if you shadow merged and instead of, like, just running around the apartment building, went to, like, your car or something, and you drove?
You can't drive in darkness.
You would get out of the darkness to get in the car, and Bruiser's a guy, and you would drive your car, and Bruiser would try and follow you, but he's a guy, and that could buy you, like, more time to think of, like, an actual plan. How about going to, like, the police if you don't want to fight him, and doing something like, oh, hey, there's this guy, and he's just kind of stalking me, he won't leave me alone, and Bruiser comes in the station, and he's like, yeah, here he is now. He keeps claiming that I'm, like, the hero framer, and Bruiser's like, he's the hero framer. That guy just framed heroes, and you're like, see, he just won't leave me alone. He just says that all the time, and that's all he does. And the police are like, well, what do you want us to do about it? And it's like, well, could you, like, give me a restraining order or something like that? And, like, take Bruiser, who's a hero, and, like, give him this legal thing that says, like, you can't fuck with me. Like, you gotta stay away from me, stop bothering me. The police know that you've been pestering me. I can call the police if you pester me again.
You also have a very backwards logic with things, though, where it's like, I can do something that seems reasonable, and you'll think it's not, or vice versa. And you do this a lot with things.
Examples.
Magic God is a very prime example.
Magic God, for one, is a Jared thing. And Jared's very different from you.
You're right, and I will completely admit that. But even then, like, even though I don't necessarily agree with everything that Jared thinks on things, we still generally can think of some things that are both rational. Me and Jared both probably would not have picked a fight with Magic God.
Well, we know Jared didn't. Jared tried to do something else that ended up working in his favor.
I don't think I would have tried to pick a fight with Magic God, quite frankly, in that situation.
Also, Nerd Tinker pulled a similar thing to what Jared did with the, like, I jumped in the magic well with his, I called the soul jars. That was the last thing I thought he would do.
But do you see where this goes, Jed? Where you think something would be the next logical step, and we're like, no, or vice versa. We think this is either impossible or the next logical step, and it's like, nope, it's not.
But Nerd Tanker's thing, I don't think hurt him. That actually is leading into, like, the next bit of Nerd Tanker's story. Excuse me.
You can argue that a lot of times it doesn't directly hurt the player. But there are times where it can still have consequences, Jed.
There are always consequences to anything
right.
you do.
But like what I'm saying...
But you have to be willing to try
what
new
I'm saying,
and
Jed,
different
is
things.
that generally based on how I approach things, like with the general problems I end up getting to, where we have a conflict of what's logical and what's not, I almost always get the short end of the logical stick, whereas other people like Jared, he became a full-fledged magic god that couldn't be killed by anybody but the Jester who wouldn't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that worked out really well for him. But a lot of times I end up getting the short end of the stick with these logical battles.
It's about working around it. One thing that Jared talks about is how over time he just learns how to adapt to whatever's going on. And Jared doesn't always, like, all at once just know a solution. But at least he, like, thinks through it and is willing to fail without blaming it on the game. Jared doesn't go, man, 'cause of the game itself I failed. He goes, I just need to try something else because this solution doesn't work.
He's also got an ability that allows him to teleport freely, and teleport other things freely.
But in real
like, I feel like
life,
if I had his power, I'd have a lot more interesting, or not interesting, but I'd have a lot easier time.
But in real life, Matt, you don't just blame life. You just work like Jared has.
In life, you don't have superpowers, Jet. Like, you're forgetting that powers define a lot.
So you should be thinking of the world in that way, and the idea that there are all these abnormal, but still all these normal things.
But Jet, when you have powers and other people have powers,
mm-hmm.
you have to consider that. And when you have a wide world of powers that can exist, it becomes very hard to fight the tide when you can only account for so much.
So you have to do the best you can with the situations you're given.
And what happens when you're not able to do the best that you can?
Then you might die. But that's a part of the risk of existing in this world, of like going on these adventures and trying to do the things that you want to do.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be any threat, but it shouldn't be so blatantly bleak.
It's not even that it has to be bleak. It's a very like soul jar half full or soul jar half empty situation. If you go to every scenario and you do the same thing and you keep the same outlook, it shows that you're not necessarily learning or developing. You know what I mean? It shows that your character isn't going, hey, this doesn't always work. If your character stays doing one thing, then it also shows that your character isn't growing. It shows that your character's kind of stagnant.
Also, Kirby believes that the police would have believed Bruiser and not me, which I feel is pretty accurate.
It's possible. I don't know. I feel like if you get that solid time lead on Bruiser, you came in first. And your evidence is Bruiser coming and yelling at you. Like saying, oh, he's the hero for him. Oh, he's the hero for him. After you've like already explained like the situation. Where Bruiser's evidence is he doesn't have any, and he's only collaborating your story by his own actions.
So why did the Speed Patrol not believe me whatsoever?
You got a lawyer.
But Jet, what I'm saying is, why couldn't they have just arbitrated the law?
They have a lawyer speedster.
Oh, Jet.
That's like his whole job.
It didn't have to go to a lawyer.
He sued you.
He only sued me after the lawyer told him to sue me.
Well, the lawyer was like, are you going to like do a like press charges kind of thing? And I was like, I'm going to sue him. I'm going to sue him because I believe he's the hero.
Right. Yeah. But Bruiser wouldn't have come to that conclusion if the lawyer didn't say that. He would have just kept hounding me. If the Speed Patrol could have very obviously seen that I was not doing anything wrong and that Bruiser was essentially stalking me, they should have the authority equivalent, if not more, than the police, given that they have powers.
Kirby said he didn't get a lawyer, he was given one and a trial started.
More or less.
So the issue is, for your thing with the speed patrol, it wasn't as much, oh, I went to the police and I'm like, hey, this guy is like bothering me.
You're
as
right.
much
the
as it
patrol
was,
came to us.
And it was like, hey, this guy is the hero framer.
And I told him that I wasn't.
Exactly.
But they're equal, and we're not yelling at him. They should have been taken equally.
Well, that's why it was a trial, and it wasn't just like, hey, do you want a restraining order?
But he should have listened to both sides and realized what was going on.
But as you said things, you weren't able to really defend yourself. That was actually a big issue, is that you couldn't really defend yourself.
I couldn't defend myself because of the lack of evidence that I could defend myself. There was a lack of corroborating evidence for me to be the hero framer either.
What? The apartment that you open up is the one that has, like, all the stuff in it.
And I told them that it wasn't mine.
Why did you open that apartment? Like, we've already been through all this.
Because I couldn't trust Bruiser.
You were stuck in, like, a weird chain, but that was, like, almost self-imposed.
Yeah, because I don't believe it's safe to trust a random stranger who's trying to kill you.
Kirby said there was no evidence on either side.
Right.
I feel like Bruiser had a better case by that point than you. It would be one of those things where it's like, so it happens that the one next door is the one over the hero framer, and it happens that you, like, open that door for the thing,
but, like,
you know, like...
Here's the big thing that would more or less defeat it. Me essentially choosing to not do anything should be enough, where it's like, hey, I'm really not the hero framer. I'm willing to sit in this room with this guy and have him watch me forever to prove that I'm not the hero framer. I feel like that's evidence enough to be like, hey, maybe this guy actually is telling the truth about this if he's willing to throw his entire life away just to prove his innocence.
For one, no one would take that on, like, a literal ground. No one actually believes that anyone would sit in a room forever.
I mean, I was doing it for a while, Jen.
But no one believes you do it forever. I don't know what amount of time it would take for someone to be like, he really means he will be here forever. Like, it doesn't feel like a realistic statement.
But if I'm realistically doing it in that situation, then where's their breaking point, Jet? You didn't give them a breaking point.
Also,
you gave them the breaking point of infinity.
That's just a weird, like, crazy solution. Kirby said, we never solved the hero framer thing. By the way.
Because when I was about to try and solve it, the light doppelganger, A, became the parrot, which makes no sense, and B, disappeared the following day. Or not the following day, but like a day or two after.
It's still an ongoing mystery.
And now I can't solve it because now I'm going to be stuck with the jewels.
Well, who knows where you'll end up next. I mean, you always seem like you're stuck in a situation. But it eventually, like,
I tried doing,
out.
like, 5 things before going to Medieval World, and none of them were available to me.
Things don't always go as planned.
Jet,
but that
5 things?
But that doesn't
5
mean
things?
that everything is cut.
That a person was missing, that an R&D lab screwed itself over. What else happened that was ridiculous? That the power armor guy couldn't tell me anything about power armor, because apparently he doesn't know anything about he couldn't tell me the basic facts about power armor, even though he runs a shop with power armor. That I couldn't sell a shop because people were essentially turning it into a scrap shop. Jet, these are a bunch of circumstances that just happen to align perfectly. The planets aligned just right where all of these things were against me.
They all sound like problems that, if solved, would allow you to take on your ambitions. And they all sound like small problems in comparison to bigger problems you've had. Like, just things you could, like,
I can't just track down a person randomly. I can search an entire city, but that would be pointless because I'll just end up getting an event happening to me there. The scrap shop thing, could I have killed them and maybe... Yeah, maybe.
Why does killing them... like, you always go, like, so Jet must mean that I gotta fight. But that doesn't always have to be the solution.
They were pretty aggressive, Jet.
And also, the issue, I think, in part, is like you want to try diplomacy, you don't want to fight, but you don't want to have help. That's also a big issue. How does that work? I want to talk things out. They don't want to talk it out. Well, I don't want to fight them. Well, they want to fight. Well, I don't want to fight them.
Well, I don't want to.
Where's the real solution? Just if you don't come up with something on your own, then maybe sometimes you just do need assistance. And if you feel like you don't, then like prove it. Just solve it without assistance by actually trying something else. Kirby said you don't even let him solve a story, that you steer him away from his goals. But do I? Or is it just, in front of my goal is an obstacle,
what I'm trying to,
and all I gotta do is solve that
if
obstacle?
I'm not the only one complaining about this, it's clearly an issue, Jet. If
But
Kirby's able to
don't
see this.
I think it's actually an issue.
I-
For example, Homeboy's missing, you say.
Yes.
I don't see him for a day, he must be missing. I don't see him for a day, he must never be coming home ever again. I don't see him for a day, he must just be gone.
Well, Jet, let's go into
The
that.
dealership has been made into a scrap shop. I wonder if the police would like to know about this. The dealership's been made into a scrap shop. I wonder if there is a solution that involves people who are armed for the situation coming in and just solving the problem.
Armed for the solution for the power armor.
For the power armor one, like, man, there's only one person in Springdale, I guess, who knows anything about power armor, and there isn't a thing like, I don't know, the Springdale Library where I could read up on power armor, or even, because Springdale has one of everything, the Springdale Power Armor Information Depository.
No, actually no. Here's the argument on that. He told me that the only way to get our information was to call a number, but I don't have a phone.
And you can't get a phone?
Not for $20, presumably.
So what happened when you tried to get a phone?
I didn't.
You didn't try to get a phone?
Jet, don't do this to me.
Man!
How much would you have charged for a phone?
How do you know?
How much would you have charged for a phone?
I know Aiden tried to buy a phone before.
How
and
much
he
would...
just had run out of money, which was his issue. It wasn't even like that the phone was too expensive, I don't think. I think he was like, oh, I literally spent my money earlier. He's like, I didn't have any money for it. So he like stole a phone, is what Aiden did. I'm not saying you should have robbed anybody, but I'm saying like...
How much would a phone have been?
You haven't checked to see. Don't even get on me like that.
But Jet...
You didn't try to get a phone. He actually gave you a solution. He told you, you just said, have you heard of like a payphone? Have you tried to search for... Did you even try to get a phone? Have you tried just borrowing a phone from a person? Did you even try a phone?
I tried asking him if he had a phone that I could use, and he was like, nope, we can't do that. It's out of my...
It's not in my job description.
It's not in my job description.
Yeah, that guy's kind of an asshole. Just don't try to borrow his phone. Okay, so Kirby said, oh, message retracted. I have no idea what Kirby said. It was like, that's my thing. Like, it doesn't... Just try and work around, especially when solutions are given.
And with the guy, and with the light doppelganger being missing, the only reason why I couldn't go back to him was because immediately after that we started the whole medieval world thing. So I haven't had a chance to check back on him.
But you, a moment ago, were going to act, almost as if he was gone forever. Don't just think because a problem hasn't been solved yet that it's impossible to solve. And not all stories end in like one episode.
You're right, not all stories should end in one episode. I'll completely give you that. But when I'm getting sidelined for no reason, then it doesn't make sense for it to be taking multiple episodes.
But are you getting sidelined, or in that one episode where you said I tried 5 things and none of them worked, that you just didn't stick with each thing until the end and you just would have gotten deeper into whatever it was and just solved
R&D lab,
one
I can't
thing.
get in without an ID or a permit. I try and get a permit. I don't have a subspace communicator because apparently that wasn't anywhere in my room, period.
What about the ID? Like getting an ID? I think multiple characters were like, there's a place where they make IDs. And you were like,
They don't just hand those out, Jet.
Man, but you didn't even try to get an... Like, I don't like the ones where you're like, there was no way around it. And it's like, remember that time where the character said that there's a way to do a thing, and then you're like, but that's unrealistic.
Jet,
it's like,
but that is the thing, Jet. It's like...
We didn't even try.
It's the argument of what's rational is unrational, what's unrational is rational. You're saying that it would have been completely rational for me to go into an ID place, be like, hey, I need to get a R&D lab science ID so I can go in and go past their barrier to help them deal with their juice problem. You're telling me that they would have done that with nothing from me whatsoever, except for maybe money.
They probably would have asked you for, like, more information. And it's really convincing, the thing that you described, by the way. If you bring a guy that got transformed into something, and he, like, vouches for you.
They can't speak, Jet. Skateboard guy couldn't speak.
If you were to hand player pin to someone, could they use player pin?
Would I risk giving someone player pin?
The guy at the factory is like, oh, now you're giving me the ultimate.
I don't know what you're going to do with villains.
You don't. But at the same time, it just seems like you don't try on things, and your excuse is just like, I didn't think that would work because I didn't try. I didn't think I could get a phone because I assumed they were expensive because I didn't check. I didn't think I could get an ID badge because I didn't think they would give me one because I haven't tried and I don't know what it takes to get an ID badge.
But Jet, there's a certain level of realism that has to be in place for some things.
If characters give you leads, and the leads are straight up like, the solution to your problem is probably just this thing, and then you just go, nah.
I tried getting a permit, Jet.
There are other things, right, that are like, you give arguments for, and it's like, they seem like there was no way out. The ones where the characters tell you ways out, and you don't do them, doesn't, like, help that argument.
But Jet,
sometimes you have to think of your own
I actively
solutions.
tried to get permission to go into their R&D lab, and it didn't work because subspace communicator was completely gone, which it really shouldn't have been. Should have still been somewhere.
So tell me more about the... Was it like you had to prove you were a hero?
Yes.
You didn't have the fucking subspace communicator. Did you try to get a new one? Like, did you just try to get a subspace...
I believe I tried asking them how to get a new... Like, if it would be possible to get a new one.
And did they just not know, maybe because they weren't heroes? Or what did they say?
They were like, if you're not a hero, then you won't have a subspace communicator, so...
True. They just probably didn't know much, but they knew one thing. If you're not a hero, you're not getting past, like, this thing. That's fair enough. That's also just a job script. Some people just aren't helpful because they only do so much. But at least they were helpful enough to be like, you're not getting past this point without A.
But Jet,
So what
because you're not something
sorry,
that
we got some lag. Kirby said we don't even know how we get the default one.
Exactly.
But if there's one of everything in Springdale map,
Jet,
you don't think there's a place you could go that would just have...
But Jet, at that point, you need a world built how we got the first one. Where's the world building for the first one?
You never try to learn that, so how would you
but
just
Jet, they
know
shouldn't just...
it?
I shouldn't have to research everything.
Matt, you should just research the things that you care to know about. But if you don't care to know about the world, then why should you just get knowledge dumps for, like, no reason?
I'm not saying for everything, Jet, but for example...
When would this ever be relevant? Except for the fact that you need one.
But Jet, I shouldn't have even... But I shouldn't have even been missing my subspace communicator in the first place. The severed arm with that subspace communicator was back in my room. Meaning, the subspace communicator should have still been on it.
But what was your subspace communicator?
Jet.
It was the thing.
No, that was a separate one. He didn't possess my subspace communicator and become it. He became a separate subspace communicator.
Well, what happened to the first one? I feel like there's a reason why that happened.
If anything, I should have 2 of them.
I feel like story implications led to something like that happening. Kirby said none of the players in this game have mentioned anything about how they got a communicator. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn.
On top of that, the fact then becomes this. If we're assuming that the subspace communicator vanishes because the bird transferred consciousness into the light doppelganger, why did the subspace communicator still exist while talking to the light doppelganger?
The question is what happened to the first one, I think, right now. Because there was a reason why it came on your wrist. It wasn't just like the other one was working fine and then you got a second one. I just don't remember.
It was that my subspace communicator was off. I left hell. Parakeet with his green light was like, hey, I'm gonna bug you. Goes to my arm and becomes a subspace communicator. There was no
cut your arm off.
I cut my arm off with the bird.
You said you like threw it out a window or whatever.
Right.
But then the next session it was back in your room.
Yes.
You never tried to figure out why that was the case.
I
You
figured
don't
that
know
the
where
police
your
officer put
subspace
it back in there.
communicators went. Have you tried maybe, since you assume a police officer returned to your room, have you tried maybe visiting the police, possibly for like a lost and found, being like, hey, are my subspace communicators here? Or like anything like that. The only thing is I just feel like you don't solve problems and then you get upset that you don't solve problems, but it just doesn't seem like you put any effort in. So when you thought a police officer might have returned your arm and that you needed a subspace communicator to go further, your next steps seem to not have anything to do with trying to connect those any further to go to a point.
But here's the one-to-one then. If the police officer gave me my arm, but not the subspace communicator, why would it be in Lost and Found?
Then maybe a police officer didn't return your arm. I'm going based off of your own logic.
Even still,
What would you
why
do?
would it end up in Lost? Like, at what point would it ever end up in Lost and Found if someone just took a subspace communicator, be it a police officer or not?
Why would police officers return severed arms?
Why would someone return a severed arm, period?
Why would one? You don't care. Like, if you truly cared about these questions, right? Then why don't you try to answer them in the game? Why are they used as, like, complaint points and not, like, points of interest when you play the game? I don't know anything about A. Why don't you investigate A? Why isn't A told to me? It's a problem. It's an obstacle that you're supposed to overcome. How am I supposed to figure out the solutions to these obstacles? Why don't you try to come up with solutions? How do I come to solutions when there are so many different possible solutions? Why do you only just stick to one? That's how this has been.
But with the subspace communicator thing, I should have still had 2 subspace communicators. That's the thing, is that when that bird became a subspace communicator, he became one. He didn't move mine or anything. He became a separate one. I should have still had one.
What happened to the other one?
It should have still been in my arm.
But it's not, so where is it?
Jed.
If you don't try to explore that as a route, then you never find out the answer, and you can't be upset.
Jed, I did not cut off
because you
both
don't
of my
explore
arms.
it.
What I'm saying, I should have had one subspace communicator on each arm.
Why would you have one on each arm?
Because
Why would you
the
assume
bird became a new one.
Why couldn't it just be on the same one?
Why would it overlap?
Why do you think it has to overlap?
Jed, it didn't become...
Everyone who sees subspace communicators goes, either is that a subspace communicator or hey, that's a weird watch. So what's the assumption that a subspace communicator is an entire arm rather than something that's on your wrist? And why can't you have 2 of them?
On one arm.
Yes, on one arm.
Why
can't
didn't you
have
say
2?
that?
Did I say it was on another arm? I don't think I did.
You
I would
didn't
have no reason to say it was on another arm.
Did you say that it was 2 on one arm?
Possibly.
No.
I don't believe I said anything that would be to the contrary, nor do I remember you asking. So why would there be an assumption?
Why would there be an assumption of putting 2 on one arm? Why would that make sense, Jed?
Why would that not make sense?
Why would it make sense?
If you don't ask questions, how do you know?
Jed, that's a situation where you're putting a very weird case on me and pushing that as this is the reality of what actually happened and why this is your fault for not realizing it. Why should I assume two of them being on the same arm?
Why should you assume that they not be on the other arm? The real answer to this is you shouldn't assume anything. If something happens and it matters, you should probably ask questions. You shouldn't just be like, man, I assume something.
Jet, when I'm looking at my arms, I should see where that subspace communicator is. If I'm literally looking at it, if I'm watching the light, I should see what's around the arm that it's getting on. I should see whether there's a second subspace communicator next to it or not. That seems like something that I couldn't possibly miss with my field of vision.
So why cut your own arm off and throw it out a window?
Because there should have only been one.
Matt, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Don't tell me that cutting your arm off has to do with having one you don't like any of your subspace communicators.
Right, but I still realize that I should have it as a backup.
You're saying this as like a hindsight.
Why did I never?
And not a like back then.
Jet, why did I never take off my subspace communicator?
I'm not sure if you know if you can.
I would have taken it off if I actually felt that I needed to take it off. I still had it as a backup, as an ultimate last ditch if I ever truly needed it.
You know what was the real last ditch? Cutting your arm.
Cutting off the arm of an annoying subspace communicator.
You find them all annoying. Kirby said, "Do you have a goal right now, Shadow Darkgale, to get back to Springdale?" Question mark.
I don't have one that I can really do right now. Because flat out, I'm just going to say this because outside of game it doesn't matter. I was trying to take a picture of a jewel so I could track it with the Sheikah's light. But King Dragon's, or Master Dragon's like, oh hey, you're going to try pulling things out of images. Can't let you do that. The funny thing is that even if I could do that, which I don't think any game really has that capability in the first place, to just pull things out of images, or a picture specifically. But like it boils down to, at that point, he could just have infinite jewels. So why didn't he come at me from that angle?
He wants you to just look for jewels for him. You don't know everything about Master Dragon, which makes sense. So if Master Dragon's like,
but that's
what is he actually after?
But that's illogical, Jeff.
But it's illogical only from the standpoint of not understanding everything about
He's getting
Master
more
Dragon.
of what he wants.
How do you know that having a redundant jewel matters? What does he want the jewels for even? You don't even know. So like how do you know that that somehow works in his favor? What if pulling a jewel out of a picture actually doesn't help his plan? Like you.
But how does it help my plan if it's a redundant jewel?
Master Dragon doesn't care about what you want necessarily. He clearly has his own goals and is working to try and enforce his goals. Kirby said, but do you want to go back to Springdale?
I don't really want to be here.
Like in medieval world, Master Dragon's like place. I guess Kirby wants to know like what is like your next move, your next step.
It probably would be to just go back to Springdale if I can even get an opportunity to.
Well, I guess a big question is, we've been talking a lot about the past.
I'm not doing it.
Do you feel like this changes anything about how you will do things in the future? No? I mean, that doesn't necessarily help you.
Jet, there isn't a learning experience from this. We've looked at the past, and we've come to a fundamental problem of I'm not going to see things in your eyes, and you're not going to see things from my eyes.
Kirby said, so could you just say that you just want to just go back to where you came to this world from?
I could. Master Dragon would still be like, nope, you got to work for me or die. I can try shadow merging, but here's the thing. If he can read my mind, he knows what I'm thinking. He knows what I'm going to try and do. That's the big thing, Jet. He knows what I'm thinking. That's incredibly dangerous.
But if you can't necessarily do anything about it, look, you don't know the full capability.
He knows my manipulations, Jet. He'll know how I'm manipulating him.
But even if he, you don't know what Master Dragon's truly capable of. You just met the guy, right? What I'm saying is, if you look at Master Dragon...
He knew I was using a concealed player pin.
And you assume that you've already lost, then you've already lost. You can't go in there with the, thought process of, I can't do it. It should be the thought process of, how do I do it? And don't take it as, Jet, if I don't understand your logic, I'll never make it through. Because I'm definitely trying to help you understand how to better play the game. Kirby said he would just know what he's about to do and use his abilities that we don't know about to foil his idea. The abilities that we actually don't know about.
You're right, but Jet,
we don't know what they are.
In a game where someone knows everything about you and you only know a tiny fraction of their abilities, where does that put you?
In a situation where you should learn.
But Jet, if someone's... Okay. Let's say someone knows that you have a pistol. Actually, let's go a little bit different so that there's a more diversity to it.
Okay.
Let's pretend that I have a machine gun.
Okay.
And I see him with a pistol.
Yep.
But he's wearing a trench coat. Do I just assume that I can handle him?
You should try and learn more. Your character, as you claim, is supposedly analytical. So you should analyze the situation to try and find a solution and not make any assumptions if you can. Try and know as much as possible.
But at some point I have to assume, Jet. I can't get so much knowledge that I can know exactly what the right course of action for this is. I'm going to have to make an assumption.
But why not try to ascertain the knowledge about this?
But there is no ascertaining. He's like, I've got secrets. I can't tell you about my plans at all. You try and get close to an idea, and he's going to shut you down. He knows what you're thinking, so you can't come at him from an angle that he's not expecting you from. Where do I go from there, Jet? If he reads my mind, if he's unwilling to tell me things...
Kirby said the only knowledge you can make is what is being put in front of you. So you should try and learn more about what's being put in front of you.
Jet, this is what's in front of me.
Learn more.
I can't,
not just
Jet.
Take it at face.
He's being secretive on purpose. You can't ascertain knowledge from that.
Or can you?
Jet, I'm actually just going to say that. I'm going to try and reverse mind read him. And I can probably guarantee that's not going to work.
So you feel like that's going to be the solution?
I'm seeing everything from his soul. If he can see everything within me. But I don't see that working.
Well, you just got to figure something.
But Jet, that's the thing. You go into these things so blind, and to a certain extent, yes, that's what Jank Heroes is, but that's ridiculous that you don't have any conception.
But it's not so ridiculous that it's impossible. There is nothing in this game that I would say is impossible. But I also wouldn't argue that it's necessarily easy, but it shouldn't be.
Not everything
That's
should
not
be easy.
The point.
Master Dragon
is Master Dragon.
Is a close to impossible threat.
But I don't personally think so. And I feel like that should, if anything, raise your confidence. Because if I straight up told you,
Jeff,
I don't think there's any way around it.
Because you can't say anything, and because you have a very weird way of thinking about these situations, how am I going to stumble upon it? You're expecting me to stumble upon your logic.
I don't want you to stumble. I want you to search.
But
I'm not asking you to roll a die. I'm asking you to pick up a book. Just try and learn.
You can't learn secrets that are kept from you. He's close to impossible the first time you meet him, Jet.
You gotta try and learn more.
You can't, Jet.
You have to actually probably stick to a goal and work toward that goal. Don't just jump around. If obstacles get in your way, keep pursuing through them in order to obtain
What happens
goal.
when you can't pursue them?
But you can, because I won't throw anything at you that I don't think you can figure out. So clearly, I believe that you can do it, but I'm telling you that you're taking a defeatist mindset and calling it a game flaw. Kirby said, you can't learn more right now. Later, yes, you can learn more, but this isn't later. This is now. But now is the time to be trying to learn more, and not just to say that it's impossible. And if you feel like you need more time, then you should be trying to find ways to make it, like to make more time, and not just assuming that you're boned and giving up, because that doesn't lead to anything.
But Jay, you can't ask for more time in a situation like this.
You have to find a way to make more time.
You can't, Jed.
But you can't assume that you can't, because that's defeatist.
It's not defeatist if it's realistic.
Very defeatist.
It's not defeatist if you know that's how it's going to play out. He has no reason to give me more time.
You have to work it. The reason why I can't, go deeper and elaborating things with you on things, because you just fucking know. You just know the thing. That's not the point of the game. You're supposed to try and work around the things. If we were doing, a riddle book, and I gave you a riddle, and you're like, but based on the riddle, there's no way I can solve this riddle. We just know we'd never solve any riddles.
He even said that you have to make a choice now.
That is what Master Dragon said. And of course Master Dragon wants you to just do what he says. It's obvious.
But Jed, how do you approach someone who knows your every thought?
Don't take hard assumptions.
Jed, he's got telepathy with people that are not me, that are talking through my channels.
Do you understand how his powers work?
Jed, I don't have to know the inner workings of every one of his powers to know certain things.
But if you don't know how his powers work, then don't assume that you do. Kirby said he has a very limited time to make choices. I feel like you just need to think your choices out, and you'll find a way.
Think my choices out when he knows every step of my plans for thinking things out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how do you get around that, Jed? If he knows every step of your plan.
If your plan is something that he can't stop, then he can know it all he wants.
Okay. Something that he cannot stop, given his power set so far.
You don't understand his powers, so don't assume you do.
Jed, I'm going off of the assumption of what he has right now and the future of what he could have.
Kirby said he can't think his choices out for long, while Master Dragon is reading your mind. You gotta figure something out.
And the moment I try and experiment with something, he's going to take that as an offense.
Is an assumption.
Game portal.
Well, hold on, we're not currently in a session. We're like 2 hours into something.
I know. Game portal. He'll assume that whatever I try to do with that, whether it works or not, is an aggressive action. Because he can see that it would be an aggressive action. Even if it's just to test something.
If you feel like it's not going to work, then you just are already setting yourself up for it to not work. You know what I mean?
Jed, try-hard attitudes only work to a certain extent in situations. I'm not saying that being defeatist helps in a scenario, but at the same time you have to be pragmatic. You can't just be like, I can fight a giant with my fists and that will work.
Also, you need to try and work out your situations by just thinking about them deeper.
I can't think deeply, Jed. The deeper I think, the more Master Dragon knows.
But hopefully the more you both learn in the process. Excuse me.
Like, he can stop me at any point in my thought and just be like, I don't like that train of thinking that you're doing. Sounds like something that could lead to my demise. And just stop you before you can do that.
I mean, depending on what Master Dragon actually does.
Presumably he's pretty strong, and he's got a ninja on his side, and a whole crew of monsters. Like Jet, the fact is that he's an intimidating figure because of his seniority and because of his power. He didn't get there from nowhere, and he's even elaborated on that. Being like, you don't get here just by not having secrets. I have a reason to fear him.
It's like when Maximilian Pegasus read Yugi's mind. The more Yugi thought, the harder things get for Yugi.
And I don't have the ability to just switch between minds, Jet.
The Yugi situation's interesting, because his solution was, I'm gonna start doing like weird random plays and not know what I'm doing.
Well, he switches between people until he then is like, let me just place the top card of my deck face down without looking at it.
Yeah.
Which would have been funny if he placed that in the wrong zone.
Truth. I don't want to tell you the solution to Master Dragon, because I definitely already have planned, like, how he works and how you would work around him. Because, like I said, it's, like, not my job. But I can tell you, as I've already told you, I make these with the idea that I know that they're, like, passable things. There are ways for you to get around it. And I do have in my head a way you could get around Master Dragon. Kirby said, I don't know a play, but maybe Yugi does.
Until Pegasus like Shadow Realm. And then face down cards without even looking at them.
But, I don't know. I know that you're currently dipping. But I don't know. I don't think it would matter if I just told you how to beat Master Dragon, because I don't think you'll learn anything from it.
Well, I'd be probably very upset by whatever solution you end up giving me, and then I probably still wouldn't use it because I wouldn't be something my character would have thought of.
I feel like if I told you the solution, you'd be like, oh, like, I never would have thought about it, but from the information that I've been given, it definitely is, like, a possibility. It's something that I, like, could have ascertained. I'm not going to throw something at you that's not from information that's already been provided.
Okay, if I give you the next definitive steps of what I definitively plan on doing with Master Dragon, which pretty much guarantees my character is going to be doing these things.
Why put yourself in a weird situation when between sessions you can just think more and just come up with stuff? That's the other advantage you have over Master Dragon. He's stagnant because of the fact that, like, he's the way I built him, and next session he starts where he left off, where outside of game, you have plenty of time to think back and even watch the previous session if you want.
But here's
to try and
the
ascertain
problem.
and learn more.
Even if I do that, Master Dragon will ultimately catch up immediately once the session starts.
How so?
Because the moment I start enacting a plan, he'll know what that plan is.
But if it's a plan that he can't stop, then he can't stop.
But he will know how the plan functions.
But knowing
And he can stop me midway in the plan.
How so?
In order to get to a situation where I would have a plan that's not stoppable, certain steps would have to be, that would have to work specifically so that I can get to an unstoppable state. You can't just start off unstoppable from the get-go.
I guess I can try and give you, like, small hints. What has he done so far?
Rerouting teleportation, red mines, able to negate the player pen, able to summon many tongues, read other people's telepathy, has a whole legion of monsters, and a shadow government.
Now, what if I told you from what he's seen, right? From what you've seen, that, like, you're taking hard assumptions just based on observation.
You can make the argument of mind reading, but it's pretty strongly that he can do it to the full extent.
Kirby said mind reading is,
It's pretty plain breaking power.
Oh, pretty plan-breaking power, especially with the tools that Master Dragon has at its disposal. Okay, Matt, I really don't like doing this, because I know you always try to, like, run away from whatever I end up saying. But here's the thing on Master Dragon. Also, Kirby, you also need to not use the information I'm giving you. Like, you also need to do the whole, like, I don't know, oblivious thing. And anyone else watching this, oblivious. Okay, check this out. So, Master Dragon naturally just has a bunch of tongues. That's not like a power, for one. 2, Master Dragon altered your teleportation. Your teleportation that you used with, like, a game object, like a game item. Master Dragon has been, like, tipping into, like, your mind stuff. All your mind stuff being directly related to you using a game item. Master Dragon talks about how, like, I, like, am an experienced gamer, I know all this game stuff, and you should really learn more about other worlds. My world is just like a combination of a bunch of like other world stuff. It's like an amalgam thing. Master Dragon has knowledge of games in a similar way to like a you, if you like really dove into that and kept like fucking with game world stuff. He only has control over when you use game items. So but it's like stronger than it should be. So like if you use Meta Knight's cape, he can manipulate your teleportation. But if you used a non-game thing for teleportation, he would have no way to affect it.
I don't have a non-game way to teleport.
Exactly. So you can't use that as like a way around it. He only has access to your mind and all your mind channels because you're using the player pin. So if you just weren't using the player pin, he would have no way to connect in.
Well, no, that's the thing. The thing is that telepathy isn't player pin.
Right now, it's just the idea that you're reading his mind, and he's using the player pin right back at you, but only because you're using it. He can only use game items if either he's using it himself or someone else is using one. And if someone else is
But if
using
I'm not
it,
using it on him, then he shouldn't have the channel.
But right now, you guys are communicating not through him talking.
No, no. The moment he did the hello, and then the moment he did the hello in mine, I started talking to him. And then I tried it again to try and convince him.
He's just been thinking this whole time.
I haven't been thinking this whole time.
Well, of course you are. Whenever you would talk, you would still think whatever you're saying.
But I haven't been using the player pin to read his mind, Jet.
Well, then you wouldn't hear any of the things he said.
Jet, Jet, why didn't you say that earlier?
I never said that he was talking.
Jet, whenever I use the player pin, I specify that I'm using the player pin. I did not have a regular conversation with him the entire time, not reading his mind the entire time.
But that was you reading his mind the entire time.
I wasn't reading his mind. That wasn't the intent.
You used player pin to read his mind, and you said hello.
It's not
and
just something
like,
I could just. It's not something I can leave
mind?
on, Jed. It's something that I have to focus on to use. So if I'm not focusing on the player pin, then I can't read his mind randomly.
Also, Matt, how am I supposed to know how all these game items work? This is like the second time today that like, because you're introducing things from other games and then being like, Jet, why don't you just know what
Stasis
this
though,
is?
Jet, so that's not an excuse.
I don't agree with this. I still feel like the ricochet bullets thing makes sense for Stasis. Just saying. I still am like on that.
But as for the player pin, the fact that I always say when I'm using it, but never tell you that it's off, should show that it's something that I have to actively use.
Not really. If I don't know the rules to how something works,
but Jeff, why would I constantly say turn it on? Or why would I constantly say use it?
You're just saying that you're using it.
Right.
Yes.
But I wouldn't.
You're letting me know.
But I'm using it. But it's not. But if I had it always on, then I would just say that I have it always on.
Well, you were specifically saying I want to read Master Dragon's mind right now.
Right
and
now,
that's what
yes.
you did.
And I read it for that thought.
I don't know how long it works because no one tells me.
It's not infinite.
I don't know. It's not that it's infinite. It's just that while it's on a person, I've never heard you be like, and now I just can't read their mind. Gesundheit. How would I ever know that you're not just reading his mind if you don't specifically tell me player pin is like fire and stop? And it never feels like it's fire and stop. You've used it to communicate with things that just can't talk. It's never been used in a way to where I can recall that you just did it once. Kirby said he also oh wait, hold on. Yeah, Kirby said he also doesn't have a choice about what he hears of the stream chat, as far as I'm aware. Then he said stream fail. Then he said, what player pin is this? So he has Game Portal that allows him to like pull game items from other games. And when he used player pin to read Master Dragon's mind, from what I've always seen of player pin, I assumed that you would just continually be reading his mind. Because I've never heard you say player pin is fire and it doesn't continue to work. How do you talk to animals all the time? Like things that don't communicate.
I generally only read their mind once.
I have no way of knowing without you telling me just now that player pin isn't a continual thing.
It's not a continual.
Cool. Then the way that the throne room thing would have went is you would have started talking and you would have heard silence and then you would have like read his mind and then you would have heard him like communicating. You've been reading his mind is the idea. But I feel like this is an issue of me working with a mechanic that's just not in my game and not knowing how it works.
Player pin, the world ends with you.
Yeah, it's from a game, The World Ends With You. Is it pin like a
P-I-N.
pin you write with? Is P-I-N like a pin that you have like on a vest or something? Excuse me. Yeah, like that. And it has a little skull thing on it. That font is gross. Oh my goodness. It shouldn't be on a dark blue. That font is horrible. Right now I'm reading about the player pin thing. I imagine Kirby's also reading about the player pin thing. The open. Do you ever tap your pen? It requires you to tap it.
Yes.
And scan for noise to battle. He or she will be able to tune into the thoughts of others. The player pin is unique in at least one way. It cannot be accessed in the phone menu. This has ramifications. I don't know what psych means.
It's mechanics from the game. Like the main thing of importance is the scanning and implanting.
What is tin pin?
I believe it's a minigame I put for the game.
Okay, hold on real quick. I'm almost done reading the whole article. Huh. Did the replica work, or did it just look like a player pin? The last thing. Made by Show.
Not sure. Oh, it's yeah, minigame.
Okay. But anyways, yeah. If I don't understand how the player pen works, then I just assume that you could just continually read his mind. Even the thing is kind of weird. Like, you do activate it, but even reading the description, it doesn't necessarily say, like, you tune into the thoughts of others, and then abruptly you don't. You know what I mean? But yeah. So if you chose to just not use your game items, he just has no way to manipulate your game items. Unless he then had them. Other than that, you've really seen no feats from Master Dragon. And of course, Master Dragon would never tell you that. Because he keeps his secrets in order to keep his power in check.
How does he do a random power thing then?
Kirby says it doesn't give a duration. What do you mean random power thing?
He was gonna set up duels with random powers for 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
How does he do that?
It has nothing to do with his own ability. Oblivious again. You don't know that.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
You assume that he's like
He's
this
a
all-powerful
copy machine.
guy.
Oh my God, he's a mimic machine.
That's also another assumption. Oblivious, you don't know this. He just has a lot of pull and a lot of control over people because of the fact that he's so secretive. So he just has other people who have individual abilities that he controls. But all together, taking advantage of that resource, he's able to do a lot of things. But
how does he get above that with just the power that specifically targets video game items?
That's why his focus is like a lot of video game stuff. But now he's after these jewels in the real world. He's not in his normal territory.
But how did he get so far ahead if he cannot summon them himself, if he can only manipulate other people's video game items?
Lying, being secretive, and other people who have powers
on
like you.
On a medieval world.
He made that planet. That's not where he's from. He told you that he put that shit together. Master Dragon's worked his way up. Started from the bottom, now he's here. He has a whole story that you don't care about because you don't ask Master Dragon anything about himself. I'm just saying. It's one of those things where if you, like, just take more time to learn about Master Dragon and look at what's happening, you would know more. But there was also the miscommunication about you, like, reading his mind. Because I just thought it was a continual mental thing. It was never really made clear. And Kirby was like, it doesn't give a duration. Yeah, like, there's no way... Even if I wikied it myself, I would have assumed you could just keep doing it. He said, can you please turn the camera more?
Yeah, he's seeing me.
He's seeing you?
Yeah.
Here we go. But now I'm not sure what you're going to do. I never understand why you want me to do the oblivious thing. Because now you're going to feel obligated to not do the solution, and I don't know how to help you then. Kirby said, I saw about 70% of his face. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, what are you gonna do now? I feel like I'm more interested in the fact that you're like, I can't use the solution that was given. He's currently thinking through it.
I'm gonna have to think of something, because otherwise I'm probably gonna die.
Also, what do you think of the thing about him just manipulating your items?
Feels very contrived that he's somehow able to do that and somehow got to the position that he was at.
Well, he does seem to really covet the idea of, like, knowledge is power, and keeping secrets is a way to stay powerful.
But the problem with that is that he somehow rules over a whole bunch of medieval monsters, even if he's not from medieval world. It just seems way too convenient that he has the specific thing that counters me specifically for a lot of my stuff. The funny thing is that the clones theoretically shouldn't have dissipated either because they weren't gaming.
Oblivious, it's not related to him. that's related to like his world, why the clones in particular don't work, has a weird sun. It's gonna neutralize your dark stuff unless you're inside. You don't know that. If you ever tried your powers indoors, or just went indoors, you might have learned that.
But there should still be dark? Huh.
Is that the sun stops dark powers, not that the sun makes it where you can't have darkness. Kirby said, how do you know that the person you are matched with already has a mastery of the moveset Master Dragon gives him? Oh, how do you know that you're not just going to get matched with someone and it's like, I gave them this power and you this power, but they're like, I'm a master of that power. Matt doesn't know that. Matt doesn't know a lot about the Master Dragon thing. That's like a big part of it. But anyways, Matt's getting ready to head out. But thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like this video. Favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that bell so you know whenever we do these live streams. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jeb like the one only here with
Master Dragon's dumb.
Logging out. Peace.